Good afternoon, one and all. Welcome to Trailfinders Sports Ground here in the beautiful, sunshiny, picturesque Ealing of West London. And speaking of the west of London, we're only up the road from Twickenham, and I'm pleased to say that there is a Harlequins women legend that has come to join us today. Rosie, stop blushing. You know that it's the right introduction to give you. How excited are you ahead of these games today?
Yeah, I am very, very excited to be here. Thank you for having me. Like you said, lovely sunshine. Better than sitting in the car for 2 hours, which it took me today. So very, very happy to be here.
Yes, Rosie Gallagher and I sat in our cars, probably stationary for longer than we were expecting. But who needs an FA Cup final when you've got County Championship Cup finals here today? It's going to be a fantastic event for all to watch online. And with that in mind, we should probably take a look at the teams that are going to be participating today. And we're going to start with the Essex side. Well, starting for the Essex team in the front row, we have Will MacArthur, Dan Olf and Aaron Antrobus, Dan Suttle and James Killington in the second row behind them. Jay Jellins, Callum Watts, Adams and Stuart Watling make up the back row, and Watling will be the captain at number 8. Harry Branch, his co-captain alongside him at 9. Jamie Cox, the fly half. Jack McVie on the left wing. Luke Watson on at right wing. Henry Bird and Fraser Paris in the centres. And Ewan May makes up the final place on that starting 15. And now the Oxfordshire boys that have travelled a very long journey today due to the traffic. Well, in that front row, James Leonardi, Marcus Redding and Connor Pummery make up that lethal front row combination. James Hibbert and Matt Webb behind them in the engine room, the second row. Rob Coe, the captain, sits at the blindside flank position. John Ireland and Willow Bicknell make up the remainder of that back row. Joe Mills and James Miller, the half-back pairing. Quinton Blythe, Angus Brown, Alex Foggett and Tom Gaffney make up the majority of that fantastic back line. And Alex Garbett takes the final starting place at fullback. And let's take a look at those wanting to make an impact in this game for both of their sides. For Essex, it's Alex Mitchell, Andy Sutton, Kieran Ballinger, James White, James Vogel, Jack Mays and Sol Ratton. And for an Oxfordshire standpoint, it's Tom Hayden, John Mason, Dave Wells, George Lewis, Dan Tooth, Mark Greenwood and Dave Hales. Well, Rosie, we have just seen the teams that are going to face off today. The wind is starting to pick up ever so slightly. The sun is starting to be covered by clouds. That's not good for us because we want to stay nice and warm, ideally, in commentary. But from a player's perspective, cooler conditions will be slightly better on the artificial turf.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously there is that argument on artificial turf, getting those turf burns. It's not always nice in the sunshine, but I think the wind will play into the team's hands today, depending on who comes out and has the wind behind them. I think we could see a real big kicking opportunity. But I think the biggest thing today is you come together from county, from lots of different clubs over the region, and seeing people going from rivals on the pitch at club to then coming together at county will make a big difference today.
Have you experienced that before, suddenly playing alongside your rivals in a team?
Yeah, definitely. I think when you go from Harlequins to England and then you're playing alongside people that are rivals, it definitely changes the game.
What's the secret to success then? Because you seem to do it rather well at England in that women's setup. You mean you're world champions time and time again. You're the top of the world, basically, in lots of people's opinions. So how do you sort of gel together as a squad, even though you come from completely different rivals?
Yeah, I think what you realise with rugby is that once you step on the pitch, you know that you're fighting for each other. And then as soon as you're off the pitch, you can be the best of friends again. So it's just about making sure you know who you're playing for and wearing the shirt with pride.
Oh, you're so well media trained. What a fantastic answer. Well, let's turn our attention to the actual matches themselves. I know that we haven't been able to see a lot of these guys play, but I hear good things about both sides. Who do you think might take this today? Oxfordshire have had to fight long and hard to get to these finals. They missed out. It was Essex that missed out on a Twickenham final in 2017, and Oxfordshire went on to face off in the final, and we can see them making their way onto the pitch now. Do you think that maybe they're the ones to watch in this match?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of things that they want to put right in this game, so coming out here today and making sure that they win this final as they missed out on the last one.
Well, let's have a look at them. They're obviously up for it. They seem a little energised. Interesting they're not gone for a huddle. I find it really interesting to see what a team's tactics are when they first make their way out onto the pitch. Do they huddle? Do they spread out? Do they start jumping all around? What's your go-to really from a Harlequins and England perspective? Is it all about the huddle before the game and the final words?
I think we do our huddle in the changing rooms personally. I think you've then got your time to put everything that you want to say out on the table, and then as soon as you get onto the pitch, that's when you're turning towards the game and getting yourself ready personally for that game.
You let your rugby do the talking.
Exactly.
That's fair enough. And we can see Essex are starting to make their way out of the changing rooms here at Trailfinders Sports Ground, ready to face off against Oxfordshire in the Beaumont County Championship Division 3 final. And we are set for an absolute peach of a game of rugby. I said the sun looked like it was starting to disappear earlier. It has very much come out now, baking this artificial pitch in front of us, and that plastic really does absorb the heat.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. I think there'll be a lot of Vaseline in use today on the knees, on the thighs, but I think also it's a really good opportunity to play some really quick, fast-flowing rugby. Today will be a lot about using the tempo, using the wind to your advantage, and then also going for it. It's a final. You only got one opportunity to go out and win that cup, so they'll all be going out there today to try and get that trophy.
Talk to me a bit more before we watch the game actually kick off. For those who are watching for the first time, what is the big difference playing on artificial turf versus natural grass?
I think probably the biggest difference is how hard it is in comparison to grass. Obviously, if it's a dry day, it can be that the normal grass is hard as well, but it will just be so quick. The tempo will be flying, the ball will move a lot quicker, and people move a lot quicker. So I think the biggest difference today will just be the tempo in the game itself.
Well, high tempo, fast pace, furious action. That's what we love to see from a game of rugby, and I'm sure we're going to be treated to that today because the conditions are behind these players. The pitch is in perfect condition for a final such as this as well. And with an England legend alongside me, what is there not to love about today? Well, let's see. Jamie Cox is standing there with ball in hand, ready to get Essex started in this county championship final, and we are underway. And they've taken the kickoff as well, but knocked on the floor means that it's going to be a scrum down in favour of Oxfordshire. That is a start with a bit of intent, Rosie.
Yeah, definitely real good intent coming off of that kickoff. You could see that they got in the air, they wanted to put pressure on, they went with a short kick, and unfortunately it just knocked on. But I think great pressure and a great start to the game.
First scrum. Why is it always important? People talk about it all the time. Why is the first scrum so important?
I think it's to get into your opposition's head. If you can win that first scrum and even get a penalty from it, it definitely sticks with that front row and they kind of think about it a bit more than in the next one.
Well, it's a big, strong push from the Oxfordshire pack. They're starting to march Essex further towards their own half. Will they win the penalty advantage? They do. They've got the penalty. It's been awarded. That is what you call a dominant shove in a game of rugby.
I think that is exactly what Oxfordshire needed to get the game going. I said about it, the penalty then, how far they pushed Essex back. You could hear the bench down on the Oxfordshire side. That is a big testimonial to the work that the boys have done to get there to in the final today.
That's a very good kick as well. It's just outside the Essex 22, so Oxfordshire have marched themselves down the pitch into a very threatening position. It'll be interesting to see how many they actually send into this line-out, Rosie. Is this a driving maul or send it out to the back line? Yeah,
from the looks of it, it looks like your flanker's going to be in the pocket to get that ball back. They're actually only going with a 5-man, so they're going to want to play with this.
Well, they set up a nice quick little maul there. I'm sure they will get the ball out pretty quickly, and going digging for it is Marcus Redding, and he has that in control for his Oxfordshire side. Essex have been able to disrupt that so well. They've turned the ball over on the floor, and now it's their turn to try and play a little bit of rugby. We've not seen an attack yet, but here comes the first one. But that pass has gone loose from the hands of Fraser Paris. And that means it'll be another line out for Oxfordshire. A bit of a get out of jail for free card for them, Rosie.
Yeah, no, definitely. I thought Essex defended that line out really well. They got into Oxfordshire's head after that massive scrum. Unfortunately, the hands, they tried to get it to the edge to try and play with tempo. There was a bit of an overlap, 3v1 on the edge. So just a mistake, and hopefully that's the first and the last.
The first and the last. Well, Fraser Paris won't be put off by one stray pass, will he? And it's going to be interesting to see how Oxfordshire attack from here, because biting in off his wing at the moment is Tom Gaffney in that 14 in the blue scrum hat. Keep your eyes on him because he's nowhere near the touchline. He wants to get involved in the middle of the park here, but will we see another super dominant scrum from Oxfordshire, and actually the back line won't see a sniff of the ball? Well, it's a much better scrum picture from Essex, and actually Oxfordshire were the ones having to retreat at scrum time. That piece of play in the back line losing a lot of tempo and pace there. So Oxfordshire need to find something quickly, and breaking the line for them is James Hibbert. The second row did really well to get onto the front foot and break that gain line. Ball in hand now once again for Alex Foggett. But the penalty to Essex, holding on the floor. And that will end Oxfordshire's first attack of the game, courtesy of Aaron Antrobus.
I think it's really important to note that you could see Oxfordshire really layering up in their attack then. They had lots of different options on, so I think that's going to be really pivotal for them today. Can they take that short line? Are they going to take it out the back and go wide early? I think it was a bit unfortunate at the breakdown, but now Essex have got a really good opportunity to attack and showcase what they can do.
Well, it's going to be Essex first line out of the game. Not sure how straight that was, but the referee deems it to be legal. But Oxfordshire fighting back through the middle of that driving ball effort, and somehow Essex have been able to keep possession and keep their attack alive. Great work from John Ireland, the Oxfordshire 7, but it's Essex who are still flying along this Ealing Trailfinders pitch. Big run coming in from Stuart Watling, the co-captain. Essex still looking for a hole in that Oxfordshire defensive line, but Oxfordshire, the boys in blue, are flying up lethally, and big hits going in once more from Alex Foggett. Essex looking to ship that one wide, but it's a stray pass. Who's this going to fall for? Well, it was going to fall for Oxfordshire, but we're coming back for a penalty to Essex. And so the referee will march play back over onto the far side. Offside against Oxfordshire. Rosie, that was a bit skittish from Essex.
Yeah, it was. It started with the line out and not really getting that secure maul sorted. And then as we started to pan out, they just started getting really narrow in attack. I think if we can try and hold the centres out a little bit, then they would have had much more space to be able to try and distribute it and get to the wing. You can just see that they're a bit tentative. They all want to carry really hard, but they just need to settle down, get back into it, get their processes right, and then that's when they can start building again.
Well, and the next thing you know, after that most recent attack, they're all incredibly flat, desperately trying to look for just one of them to get the ball. Do they need to address that quickly?
Yeah, I think it's probably just nerves at the end of the day.
Well, here comes a potential driving maul from Essex, but it's actually a penalty in favour of Oxfordshire, crossing at the line out just when they thought they could get a maul going, and actually getting white line fever with Stuart Watling. He had the ball in hand for Essex and was looking for a score for his team, but instead possession is turned over.
Yeah, I think that just came from the maul. You get a bit excited, you want to get that tempo to get forward in front of your jumper, but they just crossed slightly behind the jumper then, and it's unfortunate because that was probably their first time that they could get a try and get over the line.
Well, we know how quickly Oxfordshire can suddenly find themselves in Essex's half, and so Essex will need to be wary of that as they begin another set of defence against the Oxfordshire Blues, and that was well taken in the air by the captain, Rob Coe. And Oxfordshire are the team breaking away with it now. Good run from Willow Bicknell. And that's a lovely kick in behind from James Miller. It's in the safe hands, though, of the Essex fullback Ewan May, and he sends this one high into the air. And Oxfordshire tidy this one up well. We've got a game of kick tennis on our hands, and that ball could bounce pretty favourably for Oxfordshire if it heads any further towards that touchline, but luckily scooped up by Jamie Cox, but charged down. Fantastic work rate from Joe Mills there to get across the pitch. Oxfordshire are really on the front foot right now.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic play. Like you said, a bit of kick tennis, but Oxfordshire definitely came out on that battle. I think, like you said, if it would have gone slightly further, it would have been a 50-22, but the pressure they put on through their line speed to get up and get in the faces of Essex meant that they still got the ball very close to the 22.
Good take at the line out once again for Essex, courtesy of Callum Watts-Adams. And that's another very messy set piece there from both sides. And so Essex just have to clear their lines, and they send it straight down to the Oxfordshire back line. And what can Alex Garbutt do with a bit of space? Well, he only finds the Essex defence. And that's good play out on the far side by the Oxfordshire forwards. They've worked themselves back inside Essex territory very quickly here. Fantastic wide pass there from Miller. Now, Oxfordshire really on the front foot. One more pass surely, but scooped up before he can get it away was Alex Garbutt. And now it's Oxfordshire sitting very flat. Pummery pummeling his way through the Essex defence, but Essex turn it over on the floor, but turn it over illegally because there was no release from Aaron Antrobus. And so Oxfordshire with a penalty directly in front of the post here, Rosie.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they want to do. Do they want to up? They want to get points on the board. I think that's really important this time in the game. It's been end-to-end rugby, a few mistakes here and there, but also some really good passages of play. So it's good. I think it'll be good if they can get some points on the board here. It'll be quite beneficial to reset and go again. They
read your mind, clearly. We've seen a little bit of kick tennis so far in this game. A lot of kicking action from both fullbacks. It looks as though they're not going to want to run it back at each other very often. How do you feel about that as a player, but also as an onlooker now into this match?
As a second row, being a part of kick tennis, I hate it. Being in the middle, trying to work out which way it's going to go, where you kind of want to position yourself. But I think we've seen already that we've got nines that can both kick. We've seen fullbacks that can kick.
Oh, well, that's off the post, unfortunately, from James Miller. So no 3 points there for Oxfordshire, sorry. I'll get told off for that. There's other clubs in Oxfordshire other than Oxford. And so Essex send that one very quickly downfield because Oxfordshire are broken in this backfield. They need to regather themselves quickly. They've got to get their forwards back on side, and that kick goes in behind now. UMA straight on the ball for Essex. And that's a lovely chip over the top. It's not found touch because the efforts of the Oxfordshire fly half, James Miller, kept that in play. And he's got to work hard here not to be bundled into touch, and he has. So Oxfordshire will keep possession. Pummery once again. The tight head prop will not be afraid of a carry today, I think. And the clearance goes in. Good chase from Oxfordshire. Good challenge in the air to take the ball from Jack McVie. And the Essex winger wins the ball for his side. It's very well done.
Yeah, no, that was incredible. Getting up in the air, backing yourself to get above your opposition is always a scary and daunting place to be because you never know what's going to happen underneath you. But fantastic from Jack McVie. I think also in defence earlier, you could see that he had a two-person overlap, but just wrapping up the arms of the attacker so that they couldn't get that ball away was really, really pivotal for that play.
Now, you can't see it on your screen at the moment, but James Miller is currently down for Oxfordshire, which is quite worrying to see because the fly half has already played such a pivotal role in the game. Rosie, you never want to have a playmaker, leave the field of play.
No, definitely not, especially in this first half and how the game's going. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but if that is the case, I think the boys are all just having a chat at the minute. You've got your forwards all together, you've got your backs together, talking to your water carriers, and that will be big places where decisions are made if that is the case that he has to go off.
Well, let's take a look at his carry that meant the Oxfordshire attack stayed alive. Is it just landing slightly awkwardly? Has someone caught him there?
Yeah, I think so. I think Jack McVie just landed on his knee awkwardly.
Hopefully it's nothing too serious and he'll be carrying on for the rest of this game. He is up for Oxfordshire. He is hobbling back into action.
I'm sure he'll be able to shake it off. He won't want to be coming off the pitch just yet.
I wonder if they'll play that next time around someone goes down. Shake it off. Well, here come Essex once again. Danolf throws it in and it's collected well, and it's in the backfield with them now. Big collision there. Henry Bird carrying forwards for the Essex Maroon, and now they are the ones on the front foot. They're the ones looking dangerous here. Oh, unlucky offload from UMA, just doesn't quite find his teammates, and instead it invites Oxfordshire to come straight back at them. And they've got to scramble back quickly here, ready for the kick that might come in. That's a crucial turnover, Rosie.
Yeah, definitely. I think Essex just tried to play one phase too many, trying to get that offload off when actually he'd already got metres going forward. He should have probably protected that ball and let the phases play.
Now that tactical kick, it's found touch. It's given Oxfordshire a little bit of breathing room, although it hands possession back to Essex. Those sorts of kicks are beneficial. Yeah,
definitely. Essex have got a good working line out at the minute. They're able to play off the top. Their maul's a little bit scrappy, but I also think it depends on where they're going in the line out. They're liking that middle place at the minute. I say that, they've gone to the front.
You'll get one eventually, Rosie, don't worry. Here we go. What can Essex do now? Good carry now from Fraser Paris. He's definitely shaken off that loose pass from earlier on at the beginning of this game. They've gone back to the blind side now. Dan Suttle, the big second rower, looking to bash a hole through the Oxfordshire defence. Antrobus. He rides that challenge so well, and he drives his legs, firing through the Oxfordshire defence. Good metres made by the tight head prop, but a fumble in the loose field from Jay Jennings means it's back with Oxfordshire.
Thank you.
Interesting tactic there from Stuart Watling, the Essex co-captain, just coming flying around the edge of that ruck, and really that's another missed opportunity for Essex.
Yeah, definitely. They had really good depth, really good width, and I think actually if they'd have pulled that out and it would have gone to hand, then they actually would have got around Oxfordshire's defence. I think that they've started to really grow into the game, and they found their feet. I think Henry Bird in the centres, I remember when he played at Brentwood with my brother a few years ago, and he was instrumental at being that hard ball carrier in the centres, but also that big defender in defence.
How do you stop those sorts of ball carriers?
You go low and you hit hard.
They can't run without legs, everyone. But Joe Mills with the put in for Oxfordshire, and that's another slightly messy, slightly wonky scrum. Because ever since that first big dominant push by Oxfordshire, Essex seem to have woken up really when it comes to the scrum.
Yeah, sometimes it just comes down to that first one. When you do give a penalty away, there's a bit of a fear factor. So the boys would have gone into that second one being like, hold on a second, we need to make sure we hold our own here because we can't be having this all game.
And is it tougher, I mean, speaking from your own personal experience as a second row, is it tougher scrummaging on artificial turf versus grass?
No, you just have to make sure you're wearing the right boots, but also it's all about process. If you don't get your process right, then you're bound to not be as successful in the scrum. So making sure that every time you do the same again.
Well, it's another strong scrum from both sides, and just as Oxfordshire look to be pushed back by Essex, they send it out into the back line, they send that downfield, and the mark is called by UMA.
Yeah, I wonder if even that was the right option, to be fair. All of the back line for Oxfordshire came up, so there was a massive space in the backfield, but I think it's probably, like I said earlier, just settling, making sure everyone's with him so that he doesn't get turned over by himself.
Well, they've clearly identified a game plan, but as you say, is kicking in this sort of wind, which is just growing and getting stronger as the game goes on, is that really the right choice?
Well, it depends which way it's going. At the minute it's spiralling around a little bit, isn't it? It felt like it was coming right to left, then left to right. Now it feels like it's coming at us. It would just be making the right decisions on the pitch at the time.
I'll take a cool breeze as the west of London has been quite hot recently. That's a slight overthrow there from Oxfordshire, so it means Essex have pounced on the ball thanks to Harry Branch. But they've given away a penalty on the floor. Branch holding, and Oxfordshire get a penalty.
I think Oxfordshire have got themselves in a really good position here, just outside the 22. There's potential to drive here, but at the same time, I think the way the game's going at the minute, they could go for attack, they could layer it up again, and potentially get your wingers involved early and some little cheat lines through the middle.
Well, let's see if Marcus Redding has a better throw this time around than the last lineup, because that was a little bit too messy from an Oxfordshire perspective, and that one overthrown again but cleared up by Pomeroy at the back.
You can see what Oxfordshire are trying to do in their line-outs. There's a massive space in the middle where Essex have decided to go up at the pod at the front to put pressure on defence. But with that, the hooker is probably feeling a little bit of pressure, having to get that arc over into the middle, and that's where the overthrow is coming from.
Good reactions from the tight head at the back, but unfortunately for him, he's got to pack down with his Oxfordshire boys, and he's got to scrum Essex off the ball if they want to regain possession. Was a good first shove from both sides, and then Essex start to march their feet forwards, but they throw it out into the back line, and that's a fantastic boot from Jamie Cox. The Essex fly half has sent that into the hands of Quinton Blythe, and Blythe offloading off the floor well, so Foggart gets into the game. Good hands there from the Oxfordshire pack. Pummery now on this wing. What can the tight head do? He's got a little bit of a goosey, and he's found a hole as well. He had his fellow front rower alongside him, but he went on his own. He's inside the 22. Oxfordshire knocking on the door of scoring points. Pummery has stayed down for Oxfordshire as well. He took a nasty fall there. Miller sends that one cross pitch to Blythe. He's got the ball. Fantastic take from Quinton Blythe. Great crossfield kick from James Miller. And we'll come back for a penalty on this near side to us for Oxfordshire. What a great phase of play.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really important, and we've seen that now, how fierce the backs can be for Oxfordshire. You've got the step, you've got the passing, you've got the offloading off the floor. They're starting to show their real threats in attack.
Now, it means they have done a lot of kicking so far in this game, and that kick did very nearly come off, so it won't be the last one we probably see from James Miller going in today, and that is a sad sight because Connor Pummery is making his way off the pitch. He's going to be replaced by Tom Hayden, and that's a really sad sight to see because he'd had a great game so far and he started to carry really strongly for Oxfordshire.
Yeah, I mean, it's not very often you see your loose head doing a goosey, is it?
It's a very tricky art in the world of rugby, the goose step, for anyone watching at home. I'm sure we could get Rosie on the pitch in between matches to give a demonstration for you all.
I don't fancy doing my hamstring again. Thank you very much.
What a good link. How is your hamstring recovery going just as we wait for the line out to take place?
Yeah, it's going well. 2 months down, a month to go, so hopefully getting back for a nice pre-season and more running again.
Music to every strength and conditioning coach's ears. Just back in time for pre-season. Perfectly timed. Well, here come Oxfordshire. They are 5 metres out from scoring in this Bill Beaumont County Championship final. And they've got the strong set that they needed. They've got that rolling ball going. It's crabbing across the pitch as well, but it's in the safe hands of Reading. And they're marching towards the line, and they're over the line now as well. Marcus Reading gets the first score of this game. Oxfordshire get the first points, and that's a great try for the Oxfordshire forwards.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic setup from Multime. You could see that the plugs were working really hard to stay low. You then had your anchors coming in as well and really pushing, like you said, crabbing across the pitch a little bit, but that's not always bad. You sometimes have to just follow the momentum, use that to your advantage, because as you can see, the Essex boys were then at the other side and actually weren't being very effective at keeping square and getting that ball, trying to push through to get the ball.
On the 20-minute mark, Oxfordshire strike first. We've waited a whole half of rugby before we've seen any points on our scoreboard. And this time, James Miller does get the kick. He adds the extra 2 points, and so it means Oxfordshire currently lead Essex 7 points to 0 in the Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 3 final.
Yeah, I think the boys deserved those points then. They definitely have been the stronger team at the minute, showing a bit more in both attack and defence, and just using their strengths and advantages. I think Essex now will have a bit of energy to go back and get the ball back now and try and get their points on the board.
Well, let's see how long it takes Essex to fire back at them. We are back underway here at Ealing Trailfinders Sports Ground. It was Watling that took that kick in the backfield for Essex, and he offloaded it to his back line to see if they could find a way through. They couldn't, but they can win his side a penalty.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate, I think, for Oxfordshire. You could hear their coaches shouting halfway, and that kind of means making sure that once you've got that kick, beating them to the halfway line, because then you've won half the race. So you saw about 4 or 5 of the boys on the line, and just a bit unfortunate the breakdown to not get that turnover.
Well, they're judging that to have gone out in the try area. So it's a dead ball and we'll just go all the way back to where that penalty was awarded. That's a costly mistake.
Yeah, definitely. I think if it was a metre short, then they would have been on for a try scoring opportunity. So unfortunate for Essex there.
It's always difficult though as a kicker, because if you get it just right, you're a hero. But if you get it just wrong by a metre, like you say, unfortunately your side are marched all the way back downfield.
Yeah, you kind of just see the faces when they miss that kick slightly, and it's a look of disappointment. But then, like you said, if it was to stay in, they would have been like, look at me, I'm the hero.
Well, it's not going to faze Jamie Cox one bit, and that's a good scrum from Oxfordshire on that occasion, and it's Angus Brown who came away with the ball for the boys in blue, and Blythe threw a wild offload there, and it's cleaned up thankfully for Oxfordshire. Alex Garbutt on the ball now. Good offloads going in, but they weren't legal offloads. We're going to come back for a knock-on and a scrum down Essex ball.
You can just see Oxfordshire are really wanting to play now, can't you? They found their confidence, they found their feet, they want to get those offloads in, but it's making that judgment of, is it good enough to get there? Do you want to risk losing the ball? I think they're probably just getting a bit ahead of themselves because they've got those points on the board, because they want to showcase what they can do, but actually just making sure that there's no 50-50 decisions in it.
They're starting to find their rugby mojo. They're getting in the groove, they're getting moving. And they are set nice and wide here. Interesting to note, Jack McVie is right on the touchline for Essex on this near side. Are they going to get the ball out to the speedy winger? Well, bit of a mess there in the centres for Essex, and Henry Bird had to check himself. Thankfully, though, Oxfordshire give away the penalty, not releasing the tackle player. And so Essex, in a way, get a get out of jail for free card there, because that was a bit of a mess. Yeah,
definitely. I think the centre's probably just got a little bit too flat and didn't really know where it was wanting to go. You could see that the option on was to then get it out again, but like you said, just a bit flat to the line, couldn't get the ball away, and Henry Bird just held on to the ball so that he didn't give a bad pass.
Well, Essex are making a change in the first half. Quite early to be making an alteration in the side, but they deem it necessary, and so coming on for them is James Vogel. And leaving the field of play was Jay Jennings. Jennings has had a really good game so far for Essex. I'm sure we'll see him reintroduced again later on in the fixture. But for now, Essex are on the ball, and it is that man, the substitute Vogel. Gets his first carry out the way nice and quickly. Oxfordshire flying up strong in defence and challenging for the ball at the ruck, but referee reminding them to release, and that was juggled around a little bit by Fraser Parrish, but luckily the 13 kept hold of the ball. Vogel once again carrying for Essex. He's everywhere from being introduced into this fixture, but sadly Oxfordshire have turned it over. It's on that far side with Alex Garbutt now. Oxfordshire looking to work their way back towards the middle of the park. Little show and go there. Is there a space? There was a sort of space there for Joe Mills, and a nice little offload keeps Oxfordshire's hopes alive of getting inside Essex territory once more. And the kick from Miller goes up. It's going over the head of Jack McVie, but the winger was able to tidy that one up well, and Ewan May sends it deep downfield. I feel like that one might bobble all the way beyond the dead ball line. And indeed it does.
Welcome to the wind.
That was just his little reminder, wasn't it? In case you haven't noticed, it is slightly windy out today.
Yeah, I think at the minute from set piece, Essex they're only really getting to the middle of the pitch, and that stems from taking that front ball at line out. I think if they were to look at going middle-ish, then they can actually play off the top, get to the middle on that first carry, and then they can start playing. At the minute, they're making it a bit harder for themselves, putting their 9 under pressure with the line out coming through, and not actually being able to get into the middle of the pitch to then have space to play.
Who needs to send that message across the team then?
I think it's probably a team decision to go for the front. With that wind, you don't actually know what it feels like for a hooker, so maybe having a chat between 9, hooker and 10, just to say, let's try and get it to the middle of the pitch. Like I said earlier, Henry Bird's a big carrier, so why are we not utilising him on that first phase of play?
It's a good initial shove from Essex, and Oxfordshire need to dig deep now to try and hold them back, and they do, and they get the ball out into the back line. Who's going to make the first big carry? Well, it's being sent out wide. It's with Blythe on that wing, and he sends an offload back infield. And Oxfordshire are driven out into touch. Tom Gaffney bundled out by the Essex defence. And just when I thought we'd seen something special from Quentin Blythe once more with this offload, it's going to come in on the replay. Look at that, perfectly timed. Unfortunately, Essex were the ones who were there to snuffle up the players.
I think his coach may have said to him, whatever you do, don't get put into touch. So therefore he's making sure he gets that offload back in. But the boys obviously know how he plays, and that they're there to support him.
Just for this one day, he's allergic to the touchline. Just throw the ball away from the touchline. Well, good line-out defence from Oxfordshire. Essex have somehow managed to break away with it. It's not as clean as they'd have wanted the ball to be, but they have won a penalty again. Oxfordshire giving them another easy out. Good kick upfield for Essex. Nice little position for them to find themselves in now. And as we approach the final 10 minutes of this first half, Rosie, how important is it to actually get on the scoreboard in the first half, let alone maybe level the scores before half-time?
Yeah, I think getting on the scoreboard will just make sure that they go into half-time with that confidence that they can play. They've had some really good passages of play, but it's about how that they can then get points on the board to showcase that. At the minute, there's a lot of individual runners and individual skills out there, I'd say, so it's just about how can they build and get that try over the line.
Watling carries forward. That ball is loose, but it's tidied up, and Essex will still have the attack. Ewan May scooped it up most recently for the side in maroon. Antrobus, oh, he's hurled back by the Oxfordshire defence. John Ireland coming together with Marcus Redding as hooker for that. And Oxfordshire have hacked the ball forward along the ground here. Joe Mills could be in to score if the scrum half can dive down. He is! The referee awards a second try for Oxfordshire, thanks to the rugby mind and brilliance of Joe Mills. Let's take another look at that score, Rosie. How impressive is this?
Yeah, well, very impressive. Obviously, very fast, got the ball down, bounced beautifully for him. But again, I think it just came from Essex mistakes at the minute. One out runners, got turned over here. Can't really get anywhere with the ball because people are running a bit flat. And then obviously the ball went down, little kick through, managed to get over the try line. So I don't think as such that was Oxfordshire's rugby in itself. I think that was something that they really put Essex under pressure and managed to get the points from it.
Special mention to Angus Brown of the Oxfordshire team. He's the one that made that initial hack forwards through, and it was the pace of Joe Mills and his positioning on the pitch that then found himself in a try scoring opportunity. So great work there in the loose by the Oxfordshire backs, and now we'll wait to see whether James Miller can add the extra two. The kick is good. The points are added. It's 14-0 in favour of Oxfordshire in this Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 3 final. And really, Rosie, we could start to say that they are the ones in the driving seat.
Yeah, I definitely think they're the ones in the driving seat. They just seem to be a bit more set in their processes. At the minute, you can see that they're working in their threes. You talk about the triangles and having that nominated player as the carrier, and then you've got your latcher and your clearer. So you can see that with them. With Essex, not so much at the minute.
Well, that's another kickoff that's challenged Oxfordshire, and so Essex have actually won the ball back from their own kickoff. Watling, big carry from the number 8. The attack still alive for Essex. It's another loose pass. I don't think their backline knew who was going to take that. Fraser Parrish looked like the obvious target, but he left it behind for the rest of his team to try and nab. Rosie, what's going on?
It's hard to say, isn't it? I think they're trying to do too much potentially. That was probably a late comms because you could see that both of them were there, but no one really knew who was getting the ball, so it could have been a late decision, and unfortunately it's just not been caught. I think they just probably need to like recenter themselves, talk to each other a bit more, and just play simple rugby.
Well, we've had a break from scrums for a while, and this one working really well for Oxfordshire, but great pressure from Harry Branch of Essex, tackling Bicknell to the floor. And that kick goes into the backfield for Essex. And now, can we see something special from McVie? That's a lovely offload to May. What can you and May do now? He gives that back. Offloads galore here for Essex. Hear the call from the Oxfordshire bench there for a second. He stepped himself, and Essex quickly need to sort themselves out so they can get an attack going and get something dangerous together. And that's going to be interesting for Tom Gaffney, and he's taken literally as his feet touch the ground again. Great chase from McVie, but unfortunately a penalty conceded because the referee not happy with the height of the challenge. And although the rest of the Essex team were charging through with McVie, he gives up the penalty, Rosie.
Yeah, really unfortunate. I think that kick from Harry Branch was perfect. It meant that all of the Essex boys could chase after it and put pressure on. I personally thought that it was great. A little bit too high, a little bit too high it's deemed, but thought it was great attack and intent.
Well, we never want to see a challenge too high, because at the end of the day we want people to survive playing rugby and enjoy the game. Good take there in the line out from James Hibbert. But Essex starting to send Oxfordshire back further into their own half, and Reading might have to look to go on his own here, but they've won a penalty, and so instead it's the number 8, Willow Bicknell, firing forwards on all cylinders for Oxfordshire. He's got them very much on the front foot now. They need to do something with this possession. It's messy in the backfield, but it could still work out for them here. One more pass, sees Blythe in a bit of space, and here he is now, the winger on the ball. And he wins his side the penalty as well. Essex, in the space of about 15 seconds, have found themselves going from just outside Oxfordshire's 22 to very much inside their own.
Yeah, that just came from Will MacArthur changing his bind in the maul. It meant that Oxfordshire could get all the way up to the pitch, and we know what Quinton can do. Those feet, those steppy moves. He's managed to get his team a penalty kick, probably to the corner, and they'll go for a drive here, I can imagine.
How many do you put in the line out here? You go full 7?
No, you'd probably go for a six player line out, and then either a flanker or someone in the pocket.
Or could we see a 15-man maul? Is that a possibility, do you think, on a day as special as this for both sides?
Or maybe if it comes down to the last minute and they need a try. But sometimes you don't actually want your backs in it. Obviously, we do a lot of work on our mauls, and then you think that the backs just know what they're doing, and then they'll come in and bring it to ground, and you can't blame them too much because you've asked them to come, but at the same time, we don't really want them there.
Well, let's hope they don't hear that too clearly on this live stream. But with that in mind, how important is it to make sure that these set pieces are well rehearsed during the week and that you train a lot of time, to perfect them?
Yeah, it's massive. I think obviously in rugby nowadays you do rely on that set piece with the kicking calibre that we've got out there, being able to get it to the corners on huge kicks from very far out. It's important that then you put those put that into points. So for us, we practice a lot, probably 3 times a week on our maul and our line out set piece, and doing the analysis as well. There's going to be people in each team that don't see this as their strength, so how can you manipulate your line out piece so that you then basically pick on them?
Well, let's see what happens with this line out. What have Oxfordshire got up their sleeves? They are 5 metres away from scoring their 3rd try of this game, their 3rd of this first half as well. And that's a really good take from Rob Coe, the captain. And they're trying to desperately get it to the back. You can see Reading, he's going digging for it, but Essex have sent Oxfordshire to the floor. And they've turned it over as well on the floor. So great maul defence from Essex there to shut down the Oxfordshire drive.
Yeah, really great work from Essex, and they've done that twice already today, and so that's definitely something that they see as their super strength. I think for Oxfordshire, they didn't really have to do the movement beforehand because you could see that Essex weren't going up, so could they have just benefited from staying still and making sure that they had those plugs in and that everybody was secure, because at the minute there seems to be gaps that Essex are getting through.
Well, that's another messy line out, and so Antrobus is the one that has to try and come away with it for Essex, tidying it up well, the tight head. He's had a fantastic game so far. And Harry Branch sends that one up into the sky. And that's with Blythe. He puts the kick in behind now. We're starting kick tennis, Rosie's favourite. What can Ewan May do now? Bit of broken space in front of him. He breaks through the first tackle. Forced to come down by Marcus Redding. The hooker doing really well to stop him, reaching second gear and breaking through the Oxfordshire defence completely. Vogel, another carry. He's been on fire so far since coming on. Massive overlap here for Essex if they can just pass the ball out, but instead it's kept in by Henry Bird, and that space is gone, and that's a high challenge there on Fraser Paris. Bird has to come in to try and carry it himself, but Oxfordshire have turned it over again and won a penalty. Rosie, things just aren't going Essex's way.
No, they're really not. Really good carry there. Just one of those things, unfortunately, that Oxfordshire just seem to have a bit more fire in their belly to get that ball back.
Well, you were pointing out here on this near side, they had an overlap. They had a massive overlap. It was an overlap of about 15, 20 metres essentially, but they didn't pass the ball into that space. They need to get better at identifying those moments.
Yeah, I think it's a case of not identifying early, but also probably being too flat. They're not actually able to get the ball there because by the time the defender's up, they're already in their face and the ball's going to be a forward pass essentially if they give the ball.
Well, let's see if they can match their last set of line-out defensive efforts. And things have started off well for Oxfordshire because they've come straight through the middle of the Essex efforts to disrupt things. But Essex doing really well, and in particularly doing really well. Sol Ratton, the number 22, throwing himself around onto that ball to stop everything.
Yeah, we saw Watts Adams then trying to sack it, and actually I haven't really seen that in the previous mauls, but maybe because it's been a bit further away. So I think that's actually a bit of their strategy is try get that sack. If not, it then opens up the holes, and that's when they really go and attack it.
Final minute of play on our clock, but that doesn't line up with the referee's watch. So it will be interesting to see how much longer we have left to play. Watling comes away with it from the base of the scrum, and his pass almost intercepted by Joe Mills, but Harry Branch keeps a hold of it for Essex. But that's bobbled out. Oxfordshire in possession now, 5 metres out from the Essex try line. They're marching ever closer through Matt Webb. He places the ball back now. It's going into the backfield. Ewan May gathers for Essex, sends it downfield with a kick. But Oxfordshire have won a penalty. Let's have another look at that Oxfordshire chance that's gone now, Rosie.
Yeah, I think it was just a penalty for putting hands on as a potential tackle. It'll be interesting to see what Oxfordshire do now. Will they go for the points, being in the position that they are? It looks like they're going to go for them all, which I find interesting, just because of the success rate that they've had so far. Maybe they think that because of the timing on the board, they will try and get the 7 rather than the 3.
Would you rather see out a game trying to drive your way over your opponent's try line as well? Is that part of their thought process?
Yeah, as a forward, I think that's what we'd want to go for. I don't know if the backs would have fully agreed with this call just because of how it's been so far. But I think where they are, 14 points up, can they try get another one and be really secure going into half-time?
Well, it's another messy line-out. Look at you, Rosie. You are the oracle today for rugby, because Oxfordshire have messed that one up again, sadly. And so Essex get to clear the lines, but charge down! But we're coming back for an earlier knock-on at the line-out, just as we all got really excited there for a second, because Rob Coe came flying through to charge the ball down. It's going to be a scrum 5 metres out from their own try line for Essex.
Yeah, and I think it'll be really important for Essex here to clear their lines. You can see, looking at the flags around the pitch, that they definitely have the wind in their favour. So utilising that wind, getting down the pitch and putting pressure on Oxfordshire for this last couple of minutes of the game. I don't think we have long left.
See, now you've done it as well, so every club in Oxfordshire will be after you and me. Here comes the Oxfordshire push, putting Essex under pressure, but they send it out into touch through the boot of Harry Branch, and that brings the first half to a close. Oxfordshire winning currently 14-0 against Essex in the Beaumont County Championship Division 3 final. And before we take a quick break for half-time, Rosie, talk to me about who stood out for you in that first half.
Yeah, so for me, I think there's a few standout players. You've got Quinton Blythe from Oxfordshire, his footwork, his distribution. He actually started kicking towards the end of the game, which I didn't think was in his skill set. I thought he was one of those, one of the quick steppers. So seeing him bringing that into his game as well. But for me, it's Vogel coming off the bench. I think he's had a massive impact in the game. Overall, I think Oxfordshire are on top. They just seem to be getting their processes right, but I don't think Essex are out of the game. I think they just need to regroup, refocus, probably support each other a bit more in those carries, and I think they could go out there and score some points.
Well, there's a reminder of the current score. Oxfordshire winning 14-0 currently against Essex, and let's take a look at the plays that have seen them sail into the lead here at Ealing Trailfinders Sports Ground. This is the penalty miss first from James Miller, and I think it's fair to say his tactics changed after that penalty miss, because they started going for more scores, and just look at what it's done for them. So this is our first try, Rosie. This is the fantastic driving maul. You're a particular fan of this one, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. I think they all just really bought into it. Made sure they set themselves low. The jumper was probably the highest person, and that's really important because you want everybody underneath you driving you forward.
One for the highlights reel for Marcus Redding there, the Oxfordshire hooker, in that very noticeable bright scrum hat, and this a lovely run forward through by Joe Mills, who does dot down for their second try of the game. Special mention though to Angus Brown, the number 12. You'll see him hack through the ball now, Rosie, and his scrum half thankfully was there to pounce on it.
Yeah, again, great run, backed himself, and luckily for him the ball bounced just perfectly into his hands to get dotted over the try line.
Well, Oxfordshire might be 2 tries up currently, but we've still got another 40 minutes of rugby ahead of us before we can find out who our new county champions are. And with that in mind, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. Join us again shortly for the second half. Welcome back to Ealing Trailfinders Sports Ground here in what is a beautiful sunny West London picture at the moment. I'm pleased to say as well that I've not scared you off, Rosie Gallagher. You've come back for the second half. You're fighting, raring and ready to go, because at the moment it's still everything to play for.
Yeah, no, definitely still everything to play for. A lot shorter half time than I'd be used to. I don't feel like they've actually had their oranges in the water, but definitely excited to get back underway.
They had a choice of one or the other. What would your choice be? Oranges or water?
Lucasade. Bit of both.
Fair enough. Well, Oxfordshire are going to be the ones to get us started again in this fixture. And James Miller sends that one high into the sky. And it's Vogel who's there to pick it up for Essex. It's his first big carry. He gets his team outside their 22 pretty much straight away. Ooh, and coming under some significant pressure there is Ewan May. The fullback tackled deep inside his own 22 by John Ireland, the open side flanker for Oxfordshire. So Oxfordshire continuing this second half how they left the first, with a lot of intent and fight in them. And that's a wayward pass to James Miller. He won't want to see that one again, because coming through the middle, potentially Henry Bird could score here for Essex. Henry Bird has fired through the middle on the loose ball from Oxfordshire, and he's brought his side very much back into the picture of this game.
That is exactly how you want to start the second half. Again, how Oxfordshire did it to Essex in the first half. They took advantage of their mistakes. Henry Bird did exactly the same then. I didn't know if he was going to make it. I thought it might have to have gone to a TMO, but they definitely got it down just before the line.
Oh, fantastic shot there. You can see it on your screens. He was giving everything to that chase as well. You could see the intent in his face, because that really is, it's a huge moment.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see the fire in the belly of Essex boys as they've come out. There's been some big clear outs at the breakdown, wanting to make sure that they protect that ball. I think that's something that would be massive at half time, talking about let's make sure we get that breakdown sorted so that we can have a really clear distribution from the 9 out into the channels.
Well, the kick also successful for Essex. Here's another look at that try. Just look at him go. Fantastic score from Henry Bird. So it's Essex 7, Oxfordshire 14, here at Ealing Trailfinders Sports Ground for the Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 3 final. And once again, they've kicked it straight to Vogel, and he's run it straight back out of his own 22. Essex have suddenly come alive.
Yeah, definitely. Vogel has such a look in his eyes. He wants to make metres, but he also looks so calm catching that ball under pressure.
Well, I think they've learnt their lesson. They need to stop giving him such an easy opportunity to run at them, and this is going to be a fierce contest, and it was in the air, but taken well by Joe Mills for his Oxfordshire side. And now Marcus Redding, he's got a bit of fancy footwork, the hooker. James Leonardi carrying forwards. Oxfordshire still have the ball, and they have a bit of space here now. Willow Bicknell was carrying forward, but he's lost the ball for Oxfordshire. Essex now, counter-attacking opportunity is on. McVie is out on his wing. He was desperately looking for a kick or a pass or something that would have given him possession, but unfortunately Ewan May takes that up himself and gives away a penalty.
It's a really tricky one when you get the ball on a counter-attack. It's, do you back yourself to try and break that line, or do you move it to the edge and make sure you're there to support?
Well, James Miller's also opted for the kick. Very experienced individual. Do you want to hear his rugby CV?
Let's have a look.
Well, James Miller currently at Banbury, but he's played at the Dragons Academy in Wales, Newport Gwent Dragons it was known back then. He's played for Pontypool, he's played for Lazio in Italy, he's played for Mid Canterbury in New Zealand, and he's also played for Samurai Sevens and become GB Sevens champions. And he started playing because, simply put, he said he's Welsh.
Welsh players are very passionate, aren't they? They get out onto that pitch and put their body on the line for anyone and anything.
That kick is just pulled across the face of the posts.
Yeah, so I think the Oxfordshire boys then thought they had the wind behind them, but actually it's such a swirly wind coming to this left corner, and you saw that in the flight of the ball. It started straight and it just slightly bent to the left.
It is constantly changing, this wind, isn't it? I mean, it's obviously hard to see on your pictures. As you can see, the fans basking in the sunshine here at Trailfinders Sports Ground. The wind comes and goes, and there's no way of telling what direction it's going, because just as you think you've nailed it, it changes once more. And Essex have us underway once again. Good hands there from Alex Foggart. And really good feet as well from the outside centre. That pass has got away to Redding. He's shown some silky hands now to pass it on to Bicknell, who's making meters, the number 8 for Oxfordshire. He is on fire. Miller sends that one wide. One more pass to find his wingers in a bit of space. McVie intervenes and intercepts. But we're coming back for another penalty for Oxfordshire. Just as we thought Essex had found their way into this fixture, the old habits of the first half are starting to creep in, Rosie.
Yeah, I think there's probably just wanting to get points on the board. Essex feel like they've found their feet, they've got that momentum, wanting to get the ball back. There's just a lot of passion behind it now. I think they know that they're still in the game and just wanting to get that ball back. But it's taking that decision whether to really back it, or well, you have to really back it or lay off and go for the next one.
Well, they're a little bit further out than 5 metres. They're about 10 metres out, I would say, from the Essex try line. And it'd be interesting to see how long Oxfordshire aim to keep the ball in the maul and in that line-out set. And Marcus Redding has gone digging for it. He has found the ball. Oxfordshire do have possession. They've broken away here well. Redding still in control and in possession. Leonardi, though, he's trying to get the ball off his hooker. It's a bit of a mess there. Good defence from Essex at the line-out. They've stopped the driving ball in its tracks and they need to get it back. But Essex have turned it over. Fantastic work from Sal Ratton. Well, and although that kick's not made them many metres, it stopped another Oxfordshire try-scoring opportunity. And you said it earlier, the back line won't be impressed with the amount of times that the forwards haven't got it out to them. That's another prime example.
Yeah, I think Essex have really done their homework though at half-time. Dave Stevens, forwards coach for Essex, would have noticed the set-piece moves that Oxfordshire have been doing over and over again, that dummy to the back and then coming forward again. Not this time, but they would have noticed that and they put a defending pod there.
Well, this time they've gone to the back. And this time, once again, it's desperately trying to be disrupted by Essex. And it's hard to say who's got their hands on the ball, but Bicknell looks like he has got it back for Oxfordshire. The rest of his team finally coming in behind him, coming to his rescue. And it had spilt out. And the referee is deeming that spill out as a knock-on as well. So Essex have finally stopped the attack, turned it over, and now this is the opportunity to clear their lines.
Yeah, really, really good defensive piece from Essex there. I think Oxfordshire might need to change it up a little bit. They've probably lost the ball 5-6 times now at more set piece, so can they change it? Can they go for a scrum potentially, or actually just go and play?
Both packs holding a good shove there at scrum time, and Oxfordshire calling desperately for a knock-on, and they have won that decision. The assistant referee on the far side conversing with the referee in the middle, and now they get the scrum. Rosie, you couldn't write this stuff for Essex.
No, this little corner down here is a dangerous game. But it just seemed to be that Stuart Watlin lost a bit of control and Harry Branch wasn't able to get the ball clearly then. So one of those things that you definitely don't want happening on your 5-metre line.
Bit of miscommunication between the two co-captains there, so they have forfeited possession. And the initial hit was good for Oxfordshire, and they've now got the drive going. We've not seen that in a while, but they throw it into the backfield, and that's gone wayward completely, unfortunately, though, for Oxfordshire. Tidied up eventually. Miller now. Where's he going to send this one out to? He tries to grubber it along the floor, and everyone's missing the ball. Essex couldn't even hack the loose ball through, and so instead, Matt Webb, he tidies that one up. But we will come back for the penalty for Oxfordshire, after there was no advantage gained after the big carry from the second rower. Now it'll be interesting to see what happens this time around, Rosie. Do teams ever look to that blind side? Because Tom Gaffney's come off his wing on that far side of the pitch. He wants to get involved in the middle, but that does mean that they've got 5 of them within about 20 metres of each other.
Yeah, I reckon, like I said earlier, this is what they showed at the start of the game. They're layering up. They want to be able to have that option to go short, out the back. They could potentially all swing to the right, but I think Oxfordshire are going to go blind.
Well, they've gone blind through Bicknell. I don't think he got the memo from his back line led by James Miller. And so it's a forwards game now for Oxfordshire. They are inches away from the try line. They're over the try line with Leonardi, but he's held up. And so Essex get the goal line dropout. And that is a huge win for Essex and a big loss for Oxfordshire.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting how Willow Bicknell went blind by himself. We could all see that they were on the left getting ready to play open. So it would be interesting to know why they did that, whether they then wanted to play forward ball, and then get it out to the backs. But interesting for me.
Ball bouncing along the floor there, but Oxfordshire have an attack now. Garbutt was taking it right up to the line, and they are inside Essex's 22. Miller. Oh, he did about 3 dummies there before the pass finally went away to Matt Webb. And the second rower made more ground once more for Oxfordshire, but turned over by Jamie Cox. The fly half coming in for Essex at a crucial moment. And now Fraser Parris look to try and carry his side out of their own 22. Past UMA wasn't clean, but the clearance is pretty good. Now Gaffney, he's in acres of space. He's got himself on the ball. What can he do? Brought down by Essex. They're still going to that far side though. Rob Coe, the captain, carrying forwards. Oxfordshire still 7 points ahead. We've played the first 10 minutes of this second half now. When they've conceded 1 try, they'll be wanting to make amends for that. Pretty sharpish. And this pass surely needs to go, but he doesn't need support. Does Dan Tooth? And Quinton Blythe is bundled into touch once again. And Essex will be getting pretty sick of being in defence for so long now.
Yeah, I think Essex are making it hard for themselves. We're 12 minutes into the second half, but when there was a clearance kick, they didn't actually chase up. They gave the Oxfordshire players time to get back into their half. They gave them about 20 metres of space to just run freely. So getting up and keeping that momentum from that first 5 minutes.
Really good covering tackle coming in from Luke Watson as well of the Essex team to actually bundle Quentin Blythe out into touch. Well, we're going to have another scrum. Feels like we've been having lots of scrums in this second half, really, and that doesn't bother me because they're just so scrummy.
I've never heard that one before.
Oh, well, you know, it made you laugh. It made everyone at home laugh as well, I'm pretty sure. Here comes the latest push from the Oxfordshire pack. They have got the ball out into the backfield, and now Dan Tooth was the one to carry it forwards. But have they lost possession once again? Despite the best efforts of Essex, Oxfordshire do keep the ball. Coe sends that along one more. James Hibbert, the latest to carry. Back inside, Reading, fantastic hands from the hooker to find his open side, John Ireland. And now Miller, lovely bit of footwork from the fly half to evade the pressure in defence, and that ball is being juggled around, and it's Vogel who's going to pounce on it for Essex. But Oxfordshire win the penalty again. can't believe what's happening in front of me, Rosie. I cannot believe that Essex will find themselves in defence for this long and Oxfordshire still not have scored.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. At the minute, Essex are doing everything they can. You've got some people coming out the line with real big line speed and then others slightly trailing behind. It's all coming up together, and I think if they get one big push together, they could actually get the ball back and push Oxfordshire back into their half.
Marcus Redding throws that safely to his captain, and the hooker's going to peel and go himself, and running a sharp line straight over for the score for Oxfordshire as well, Willow Bicknell. It was only a matter of time before we saw a fantastic move like that, and it's the number 8 who dots down for try number 3 for Oxfordshire.
Yeah, Oxfordshire had to try something different. This time they didn't fully commit to the maul. They peeled out and they had a great hard line coming through. And I think that's just that they finally adapted. They needed to do that because they weren't getting much success from the mauls. So having that buy-in from Essex to want to hit it hard meant that they actually created places in the back line for the backs and big forwards to attack.
Well, as I say, that's try number 3 for Oxfordshire in this game. Oh, and thanks to that fantastic James Miller conversion, their score is restored to 14. So the score is now Essex 7, Oxfordshire 21. They are the ones back in the driving seat with the momentum behind them in this Beaumont County Championship Division 3 final. Essex look to challenge this kickoff once again, and it's knocked on by Captain Coe. And so they now have a golden opportunity here, Essex. Luke Watson, he's got some fancy footwork. That's a high challenge from Leonardi as well, and the winger still driving forwards. Good carry now from Fraser Paris. Watson again on this blind side, repelled by the Oxfordshire defence. Essex sitting very flat once again, and Vogel having to do something quite special to avoid the tackle. But we're going to come back for our high tackle anyway in favour of Essex.
You can see what they want to do. You can see that they want to play fast, but at the minute they're not able to do that because they're not getting past the ball at the breakdown. If the boys took the defenders out, then they'd be able to play a lot quicker and actually utilise that space that they've got on the blind side.
Well, a change for Essex as well, because making his way off the pitch is Jack McVie, and he's had a very quiet second half. He was brilliant in that first half. Should Essex really try to work the ball out to him more?
Yeah, I reckon so. I just think that at the minute it's not actually getting very far past that second phase.
That's a big overthrow by Essex as well. Big opportunity squandered because Marcus Redding came away with it. And James Miller puts boot to ball now. He sent it downfield despite the headwind against the Oxfordshire fly half. And he's made some good territory there for the boys in blue.
Yeah, that's just some really sensible and smart piece of play. Although they don't have the ball now, they've just put pressure back on Essex, and at the minute we can see that Essex aren't really dealing with that very well. So getting the ball down the field, using that wind to their advantage, and now they can put their set piece and under stress again and probably get the ball back.
Well, they've got a player down as well in the backfield here, Oxfordshire, so we're going to take a short break whilst we let some water come on. 58 minutes played so far, approaching the final 20 minutes of this game. The gap between the two sides is currently 14 points. Oxfordshire leading 21-7 against Essex. If you're just joining us now, you have missed a fantastic game of rugby. Rosie, if you could summarise this game in one word for those joining us just now.
End to end.
That's 3.
Apart from the last 20 minutes.
End to end. I mean, it has been end-to-end all day long, and that another error at the set piece. How frustrating is it as a member of the forward pack when your set piece isn't functioning, because losing the set piece essentially in a match is such a big hit.
Yeah, well, I personally am a line-out caller, so when something doesn't go quite right, it feels like all the pressure's on you. So the line-out, whoever the line-out callers are for both teams, will be feeling this, thinking that it's all down to what they're calling, but actually it's the throw, it's the jump, it's the lift, and then you also have the likes of the backstand piping up saying that you need to win the ball, and we're trying, but there's also external factors such as the wind, the sun. There's lots of things that people don't realise when it comes to set piece and how pivotal it is to get everything right.
Well, it's another good scrum set there from both sides, and it's out with Oxfordshire, and Dan Tooth potentially running through the middle, offloading on the floor. Oxfordshire have done well not to knock that on. Quentin Blythe is still hugging the touchline here as well. They go the other side of the pitch though. That's Rob Coe making the big carry initially for Oxfordshire. Leonardi to Gaffney. Back inside to Leonardi. They've done really well to keep this attack alive. Oxfordshire, they just need to keep it going now. Inside, Essex's 22. Good fly-up defence there from Henry Bird. This is kitchen sink time for Essex. They've got to throw everything at it. John Ireland almost getting through a hole. Tooth sends it on one more. And breaking through the line is Alex Foggett. Is he in for the score? He is! Alex Foggett, take a bow. That try will be hung in the Louvre because it was a work of art.
Yeah, that was a fantastic team try, and you could just tell that they were going to score from that. The tempo, the execution of the passes, everything was pitch perfect, and that's what we've been missing this game. There's been a lot of mistakes, a lot of individual errors, but that for me was the best try of the game so far.
And it came at such a crucial moment as well. It's their second try of this second half, their fourth in the game in total. Let's take another look at it. Good carry once more from the open side Ireland. Great support from the rest of the Oxfordshire pack to get them that quick ball. And he just walked through the tackles and checked his feet and got in for the score.
Yeah, that was a very, very good individual piece of rugby as well. And you can start to tell now the boys are starting to get tired. You can see the cramp building up in the forward packs. But it's all about now keeping that momentum. There's 20 minutes left. Who's going to come out on top and who's going to have that momentum to keep building?
Well, the kick once again is successful. That's another 2 extra points for Oxfordshire thanks to the boot of James Miller. So they extend their lead. Once more, it's Essex 7, Oxfordshire 28. And we're just going to take another look at that try because it was fantastic. Well, that kick-off from Essex was less challenging for Oxfordshire. It was much deeper than their previous efforts in this game, but it might be a change-up of tactics at this point as Oxfordshire clear their lines, and that's with Vogel now on the far side for Essex, the number 20 there, trying to make good meters, but he gives a good platform for Essex. If they can retain possession here, Rosie, and go through the phases, it could look dangerous.
Yeah, definitely. Vogel's made some really big meters today, and it's people like him that get the team going forward. It's just the case of them building together and more people buying into it.
Well, here's Ewan May at first receiver, back inside to the try scorer, Henry Bird. But he's shut down very quickly by Oxfordshire. They'll be cautious to give him any more room on this Trailfinders pitch. May once again at first receiver, goes on his own. He's taken down by Dan Tooth. And they've gone blind here, Essex. Watson now on the ball, one more pass, finds James Killington. He's worked it back inside to McVie, who's on the park once more. Huge fend from Luke Watson. The winger is determined to get his side as close to scoring as possible. And he's done just that. 5 metres shy now, Essex. But a huge hit coming in. And Oxfordshire back in possession again with their captain. But could it be another turnover on the floor? It's not. It's a knock-on advantage in favour of Oxfordshire. So we come back for the scrum Rosie, this is just crazy at the moment.
Yeah, it really is. Luke Watson, again, using his feet, using his offload. I think everybody's starting to buy into that tempo game. Who can stay ahead? Who can get over the gain line and get that ball away? Unfortunate for Essex, I thought that was a really good passage of play. They definitely are a team that play better when they're a bit more unstructured and have to really test Oxfordshire and how they're going to defend. And unfortunately just lost it in the middle there.
James Leonardi just taking a little bit of time to get up there for Oxfordshire as well. The loose heads had a great game so far. The Banbury bulldozer, as he's shown himself in this game so far. He's been making good carries for the Oxfordshire team, but it looks like that might be the final part that he plays, sadly, in this game. So more changes in the front row for Oxfordshire, more changes in the scrum, and that'll be interesting to see what the repercussions are, because it's a scrum that's been functioning well in this match.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can see that it's a hot day out there, a lot of tired bodies. So changing at the 60-65 minute mark for your front row is always is quite a big norm. I think the subs will now come on and really bring that energy. Bit of a dangerous place to make your substitutions because it is on your try line, so you're wanting to make sure that they come on and do their job well. But I think tired bodies make the change when it seems most suitable.
Well, it's a good initial shove by Essex, and it's spinning around a bit wildly there, but eventually Oxfordshire come away with it through Dan Tooth. And he's bludgeoned a good 15 metres there for his Oxfordshire team, and Miller puts boot to ball. It's going to bounce in front of McVie. There's nothing he can do about it except watch it bounce into touch and give Oxfordshire some good territory, but he's gone to take it quickly himself, and he could be in a bit of trouble here, but he's evaded the first tackler. Here comes McVie. But there goes the big hit from the captain, Rob Coe. Was it the right decision from the Essex winger? We'll have to wait and see. Big carry from Andy Sutton. Counter-up potentially on here for Oxfordshire, but a penalty awarded against them. Bit of a nervy moment there for Jack McVie.
A very nervy moment. I think he's just wanting to play. I think they're wanting to get on top of Oxfordshire, but at the same time I don't think it was the right decision. Their set piece has been going well. They can play off it. Very fortunate to get that ball back in the middle of the park and now more towards the 22. So they've now got the platform that they could have had 50 metres back. We'll see how they go now and what they decide to do.
Well, Antrobus is back on for the Essex team. They're making more and more changes to that pack. Fresh legs and rested minds will be crucial in these closing moments, and that is a knock-on by the captain, Rob Coe. It's just a penalty by the looks of things. He came through the line out, batted the ball down.
I think he's very lucky there just to get a penalty, in all honesty. It's one of those ones that's hard to judge, but he definitely stopped that ball getting into the fly-half's hands.
UMA puts that one just inside the Oxfordshire 22. Essex taking their time to walk into this line out, spreading themselves nicely. Who's going to be the one to go up in the air to collect the ball? Bit of a delayed messy jump there, but James Killington claimed it for Essex. May back on the inside to Watson. Big tackle going in from Marcus Redding. Big intervention there from the Oxfordshire hooker. Jack Mays carrying forwards for Essex. But a penalty won by Oxfordshire at the breakdown means that Essex once again are sent back. And that's all courtesy of Dave Wells.
It just seems to be that Oxfordshire are filling the field really well in their defence. It always seems like they have so many more people on feet than Essex do. I don't know if that's a case of the layering up system that Essex are using, but it just seems to be everywhere we look there is an Oxfordshire player filling the space, and that's showcasing in those turnovers in the breakdowns.
Well, James Miller sent that one to the far side. It's not made that many metres for Oxfordshire, but it does give them possession at their own line out, and that's something that they definitely will enjoy. It's especially being up by 21 points, which in any sort of final or any sort of game on a regular day is very hard to come back from, Rosie, but not impossible.
No, it's definitely not impossible, but you can tell at the minute Oxfordshire seem to be in control of the game, and Essex will have to do something very special to get 3 more tries in them.
Well, Vogel looks to get them started quickly from their free kick. Fantastic initial hit by Dan Tooth there. The 21 for Oxfordshire, and another huge carry from Andy Sutton. He's not shying away from the hard work that needs to be done by this Essex side. Ewan May passes it along one more. May at first receiver once again. He decides to take it to the line. Just as Oxfordshire look to steal the ball, Antrobus comes away with it, and he can't find the hands of his second rower, so instead Oxfordshire have an opportunity now. Broken field in front of them. Good run initially by Max Greenwood. Miller is sending that to the far side and potentially bouncing beyond the efforts of James White, but he clears that up well. And that's now with McVie. McVie's in a bit of space. He chips forward. He's taken out by the captain, Rob Coe. And he's deemed to have been out as he made the kick anyway. So we'll go all the way back. They just can't seem to catch a break, this Essex side.
No, but I think Miller is playing extremely well. His playmaking skills, his ability to kick into space and put Essex under pressure is what's making this game difficult for them. He just seems to have all control, and I think his rugby calibre is being showcased in this game.
He's certainly got a rugby brain, that's for sure. He seems to be very knowledgeable and know exactly what to do at the right moment, and that kick was a prime example, going over the head of James White. An interesting fact about James White, actually, I found this quite interesting, Rosie. He's played every position in the backs this season for his home club, Woodford, and he started every single game as well. So, talk about a utility player.
Yeah, I think you definitely want someone like him on your team, someone that can just slot in anywhere, knows the game inside and out, and can slot in on any misline, kick, whatever you want. He's your man to go to. It's also sometimes doesn't play in your favour if you're a versatile player, because if you want to play in a certain position, you can sometimes be given the ultimatum of being a bench player because you can play anywhere.
When did you finally make the decision that you were going to be a second row, and that is where you enjoyed rugby the most?
Well, I started rugby as a centre, so I actually really enjoyed that crash ball 12 line. But as I started growing up, I just thought that I suited being a forward a bit more than a back.
Well, the forwards are on the ball at the moment. It's the forwards that are getting us started once again with more action. And Oxfordshire somehow secure possession, and they've run it out with Dave Wells now. He's been brilliant for Oxfordshire since coming on in that very clear 24. And another carry from Ireland, another fend, another broken tackle. The open side clearly just as difficult to bring down now as he was in minute 1. Redding sends that one out the back to Miller. That one not going so well, but the referee deeming the pass to have gone backwards. So Rob Coe carried. Oxfordshire's attack is alive. Marcus Redding puts a kick in now, the hooker. It's cleared up by Luke Watson, and it's Quentin Blythe who was on him straight away. And now Essex are the ones fired up and looking to use a bit of counter-attacking momentum. Watling back inside to Sutton. And that ball is thrown up, and Watson managed to get on it before it hit the ground, or worse, hit the palms of an Oxfordshire player, Antrobus. Ewan May to Vogel. Vogel's run a fantastic line there. Can he make even more metres into the 22? Brilliant tap tackle from James Miller. And that pass has gone beyond Watling, and it's also gone beyond Paris. And they'll almost have to start from square one in terms of momentum, Rosie.
Yeah, a real shame, because Vogel's made such big metres. That was a huge carry, and they've just gone 20 metres backwards. It just seems to be that not everyone's on the same wavelength.
Big scream there from Antrobus. We don't like to see serious injuries in rugby. Really hope he's okay. Just as we thought Marcus Redding potentially was going to run forwards. Referees seen that He's in a bit of pain, and so we're going to stop for a couple of minutes here just whilst he can be tended to. And Vogel has gone straight over to him as well. So not only is Vogel a fantastic player in the loose on the pitch, he's also a fantastic teammate by the looks of things, Rosie.
Yeah, I think for me, I find injuries really hard ever since getting dropped in a line out and breaking my ankle. When I hear people scream, I've definitely closed my eyes and turned around from watching the pitch at the minute, but obviously hoping that he's in the best hands now and can get back up and off the pitch in good hands.
He's got a very skilled medical team with him there on the pitch now, just making sure he's all right. And he seems to be a little bit calmer now, but that'll be adrenaline numbing the pain as well, Rosie. Such is the case with most rugby injuries. It's actually the day afterwards, or when you finally get back home and you sit down, you realise you're hurting.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously you've got that initial reaction, and you could tell he was in pain straight away from that scream. We've got some gas and air on the pitch, and that will hopefully calm him down and let the medical experts do what they need to do.
Magical stuff. But look who's on our screen. The fantastic fans who have journeyed down to Ealing Trailfinders Sports Ground today. It's a trek from both counties, to be fair, from Oxfordshire and Essex, especially on an FA Cup final day such as today. But as I've said already, who needs an FA Cup final when you've got county championship finals like this, Rosie?
Exactly. No, it's a lovely day. The fans are in the sunshine. I'm sure they've got a few beers flowing. But yeah, what a great day. I think also like the quality of rugby that we've seen out there today has been really high. There's been some really good standout moments. There's been some standout players, and it'll be interesting to see what they can achieve at club as well.
Well, Aaron Antrobus is continuing to receive some treatment, and it gives us a good moment to have a bit more of a general chit-chat about rugby, because behind us at the moment we've got today's second game. The teams warming up behind us from our commentary position. It's Dorset and Wilts versus Durham, which is the later kick-off today at 3 o'clock here at Trailfinders Sports Ground. And just looking at how they're warming up at the moment, both teams are just as fired up as the two that are out on that pitch right now.
Yeah, definitely. There seems to be a real energy. We've got Dorset and Wilts in front of us, and you can see the backs practicing their set moves at the minute. You can see they've all got their eye on the ball. They're all wanting to play and get out there in the sunshine and put on a good performance.
Also box kicks going in as well, which is interesting to see, because I've had enough of the kicking so far in this game. Well, it's been a lot better in the second half, actually. Let's talk about that. The fact that the amount of kicking and kick tennis has been significantly reduced, and the amount of on-pitch action, therefore, has kind of gone up.
Yeah, I think there's been less kicking, which I'm not a massive fan of kicking tennis, but I actually think at times Essex probably haven't used the backfield to their advantage. They've tried to play so flat to the line that actually if they just put a little dink over the top, there's been a lot of space between your fullback and that first line of defence. So could they potentially use that? They're all talking to their coaches now, probably just having that little bit of a reset now that we've got that stoppage in play. But I think if they'd have utilised that slightly more, then they could have got a little bit more gain line or a bit of pressure in defence.
Now, big stoppages in rugby can sometimes play into the hands of the team that are trailing, can't they? Because all of a sudden you're given this free time to take on some oxygen, take on some liquids, because as you said at half-time they definitely didn't have enough time for oranges and water, just one. But now is the time to take on some liquids, breathe in some air, talk tactics, and then it's almost like having a third separate section of rugby.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. You either come back and you're really switched on, or you might have switched off a little bit and it falls behind slightly. It will just be a case of what Essex are feeling. If their coaches are still geeing them up and that they can come out here and still put a performance and get those 3 tries that they need to get level with Oxfordshire, then they could do it. It's just how they come out and who will come out on top.
Really lovely to see there as well that some of the Oxfordshire team are going down to check on Aaron Antrobus and make sure that he's all right. Dan Tooth just going in to shake the prop's hand.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing about rugby, isn't it? Like, there's a lot of rivalry, but at the same time, it's one big family. That's definitely the big thing that I noticed when I started rugby, is the community feel. And you can be horrible to each other on the pitch, but as soon as either the game's finished or there is an issue, you're all backing each other.
Well, you can see the flags on your screen as well are starting to blow around a little bit more, and that just is a nice reminder of the fact that we really are in a very swirly, whirly part of London when it comes to the wind.
Yeah, it's definitely windy. I think you can see from the kicks going on in the warm-ups behind us as well. They're trying to judge where they're going to kick it. It's sometimes coming back at them rather than going the full distance, but it's definitely something that I think that Wilts is definitely going to use to their advantage when they come onto this pitch this afternoon.
It does look like they've got about 7 or 8 kickers, like talented kickers that could put balls in behind. Is that a smart tactic to use, because the wind is definitely getting stronger?
Yeah, I think they'll have to use it at the right times, depending on which side they choose in the first half. Will they want to have the wind behind them in that first half, or do they want the momentum in the second half with that wind behind? Again, you don't know what's going to happen. 1 minute it's going left, 1 minute it's going right, 1 minute it's right in my face. So it will just be a case of making sure it's the right decision and being sensible and smart with it.
The wind will also be a bit of welcome relief for all the players here at the moment, because no doubt they'll have been baking in that sunshine, and the plastic pitch, as we've already said, absorbs the heat so well. Radiates it, really, I've been told, actually.
Yeah, it does get hot on there, especially if you've got metal studs on.
Well, you can't see it on your screen at the moment, but Angebus has been placed onto a stretcher. He's off the ground, he's with the medical staff, and he is talking, and he is moving around a bit more comfortably. And we're going to see him leave the field of play to a raucous of applause from both fans. A fantastic shining moment of respect from both sets of players and both sets of fans. We hate it when people have to go off injured in big games such as this, and we wish him all the best. We hope it's nothing too serious and he can be back out on a rugby pitch again very soon.
He's got a nice big smile on his face, so although he's probably hurting, he knows he's in good hands.
It's always reassuring, actually, to see someone come off with a smile still on the face, because they've been able to play rugby, the game that we all love so much. And speaking of the game that we all love so much, you get to play the game professionally, and your team are playing today. I saw you going for a little update. Why don't you tell the world?
Yes, I was just looking at a few league results at the minute. I think there's you've got Saracens and Exeter who are in second and third, and if Exeter win today, they'll get a home semi, which will make it interesting because not many people go down to Sandy Park and beat them, and Saracens are reigning champions. So if Saris have to go down to Exeter and play at Sandy Park, it could potentially mean that Saris don't make a final for the first time in many years.
That would be huge news in the course of the Premier 15 season. Huge news. We've gone down to uncontested scrummaging because we haven't got enough front row specified replacements. And so the ball is back with Luke Watson on the Essex try line. He dots that down. His side are going to get a goal line drop out. And we are counting down into the final 7 or so minutes of the match. Rosie, I'm going to come back to you. I need a short list of players who are going to be in your golden envelope, potentially the player of the match. Putting you on the spot, I know, that's just what I enjoy doing.
Well, I think the guy with the ball in the hands at the minute, Quinton, he's had a standout performance for me so far. I think, like I've said, he's just thrown another offload, he's used his feet. He's definitely in that potential for player of the match.
John Ireland carrying there for Oxfordshire, and some flash fancy footwork from George Lewis, almost tackling himself for the replacement scrum half, and that's a lovely delayed pass, and that's another lovely good offload. It could be back with the replacement scrum half. It is indeed. Frantic rugby in favour of Oxfordshire, and George Lewis gets to dot the ball down. That ball was bouncing around more than a pinball machine, Rosie, and Lewis was there to just simply scoop it up and go over.
Yeah, it sure was, and I think since he's come on, he's brought a really good attitude in how he wants to play. He wants to play on top, and very fortunate there to be on the bottom of the ball, end of the ball.
Well, with 5 minutes left and 4 converted tries potentially between the two teams, I know I never should say it, Rosie, in commentary, but I think Oxfordshire might have this one wrapped up.
Yeah, I think so. I think they've just had that momentum this second half, haven't they? Essex came out firing, but I just think Oxfordshire are the fitter team, the ones that want to play more, they want to play on top. James Miller's been huge in making sure there's a really good link between the forwards and the backs, and I think that's been huge for them today, just having that playmaker in the middle of the park that really stays calm under pressure and wants to play ball.
So who else might be in that shortlist for player of the match from an Essex perspective then? We've mentioned a lot of great players from Oxfordshire. Is there anyone that stood out for you from that team that got the first score in this second half, and if anything, forced Oxfordshire to wake up a little bit?
Yeah, for me, I think a big standout is James Vogel from the Essex team. He's just been huge in getting go forward, putting in big tackles. His attitude, you can tell that he wants to fight and really win this. So he's been a standout for me. And also Luke Watson, I think he's put in a great performance on the wing. He hasn't always been able to get the ball, but every time he's had the ball, he's got many metres and had 3 or 4 people falling off of him.
Well, Jack McVie is the other winger, and he was the one most recently in possession for Essex, and they're going again to that blind side. And they're winning a penalty as well. High tackle penalty against Oxfordshire. Essex have possession, and we've got another stoppage for another injury, sadly. This time round it's Dave Wells of Oxford RFC. They're not all from Oxford, remember. We both made that mistake today, Rosie. And I don't want to see a player like him down for too long, because he had 5 years out after rupturing a hamstring in 2016, and the doctor said it was so bad he'd never play rugby again. So it's really good to see almost a Rocky-esque comeback story.
Yeah, definitely. I think that must have been a very bad hamstring rupture, but I similarly had that in terms of when I broke my ankle in a line out. They said they'd never seen what I did before, and so I had 3 or 4 consultants in a room talking about how they were going to fix my ankle, and I've now got 3 pins and a plate and a scaffold holding me all together. But it was also that feeling of people saying, oh, you might not actually be able to run properly again, let alone play rugby, and I think that's a massive thing when you're a sports person, wanting to get back on the pitch and showing, no, I can make it back, I will do it, and I'll come back stronger. So for me, that was a big motivation of getting back on the pitch, was not only to prove it to myself, but to prove it to everyone else. So
you know all too well what had been going through his head when he was told that news, and the determination that it must have taken actually to get back out here. Yeah, I mean, 5 years is a long time, isn't it? There's many people that would have given up and been happy just walking again, but when rugby's such a big part of your life, you definitely want to get back on the pitch and play the sport that you love. Well, the clock is started once again by the referee. Essex kicked their penalty into touch. We've got less than 4 minutes remaining now here at Trailfinders Sports Ground. It's another scrappy line-out, but it's fallen in favour of Essex. And they'll look to get another attack, but it's going to be stopped. Kieran Ballinger sent flying backwards, the replacement scrum half. And Vogel once again carrying. He is relentless. He just will not stop, but it's been turned over. That's Ireland with the ball for Oxfordshire, running straight into the Essex defensive line. Miller looked to put the kick in behind for Quentin Blythe. That ball will not sit up for anyone on this pitch. And eventually the referee brings the craziness to an end. It's going to be a scrum, and it's going to be Oxfordshire with the put in. That's not the first time we've seen something like that on this park. No, I think everyone's just wanting to play now. It's the last few minutes, trying to do something just to get points on the board. Essex trying to do everything to get the ball back. It's just a bit stop-start now, and you can see the tired bodies out there. A few people staying down a couple of seconds longer than probably before at the start of the game. So it's just about seeing it out now, and Oxfordshire really need to stay on it just to get to the final minute. Well, Jack McVie is just down at the moment, probably nursing a little bit of cramp, the winger, because he's been everywhere since he was kind of given free rein to come off of his wing. I've heard some crazy remedies for cramp before, pickle juice being the craziest. Rosie, do you have a crazy remedy for cramp in rugby? We get given vinegar. Vinegar? So you have to shot some vinegar, which can't say it's my favourite thing to do, so I try and avoid getting to that point. Do you even find yourself when you've got cramp, you try and play it off as not having cramp just to avoid the vinegar? Yeah, well, I'd like to think so, but at the same time, when you're hobbling around and every line-out move you do hurts, it's hard. Oh, well, that's a fantastic piece of play from the Oxfordshire team, and it's none other than John Ireland who will dot down. They just don't stop, and they've got their 5th try of this game. Just as we were getting into the nitty-gritty of vinegar, Oxfordshire have landed another sour blow for Essex in this game.
That was just really good support lines. The inside player here just didn't give up. There was always support and options on, and I think that's what Oxfordshire have done really well all day. They've had the options to either go down and have a really secure ball for the 9 to play off, or they've all been able to keep it alive and keep the game flowing.
Well, it's not a 100% kick success day, but can he make it 100% when it comes to conversions? It looks like he can, because James Miller has sent it over again for another 2 points. He's added the extras for Oxfordshire once again. And ever since that first kick went slightly wayward, he's just backed himself the whole game.
Yeah, I think that's something that he'll be practicing a lot, isn't it? It's something that it's a skill that if you practice and practice, it gets easier and easier. So you can tell that he backs himself. That one at the start of the game was probably just nerves and also getting used to the new environment.
Well, that a fantastic kick for Essex. They went back to their roots of putting up challenging high balls from kickoff that they could claim themselves. And it was the work of James White that stole it back for Essex. Watling now, another carry from the number 8. They're trying to get the ball out quickly here. Quick ball is essential when trying to attack with the ferocity that Essex have been wanting to this entire game. Lovely back pass on the inside from James Killington. Vogel, how has he still got a step in him this late in the game? And that pass has gone astray. Luke Watson has to tidy it up relatively sharpish. Good hands there from Andy Sutton to find Fraser Paris. Out in the backfield once more. Big collisions on Henry Bird. You can see how tired everyone's legs are as we've hit expired time on our clock. That kick's gone in behind. Quentin Blythe covering it well. And the referee will call full time on this game. Oxfordshire have defeated Essex 42-7 in the Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 3 final here at Ealing Trailfinders Sports Ground. Rosie, that has been a spectacle of county rugby.
Yeah, it's been an absolutely incredible game. Oxfordshire, I think they had the momentum the whole game, really, didn't they? They felt on top. They had their big ball carriers. They also had their talented individual backs as well, all with different super strengths. So I think it was a great day, a great game of rugby, great day in the sunshine, and hopefully everybody comes out feeling okay.
Well, let's take a look at some of the best moments from that second half. There's a reminder of the score for you as well. Essex 7, Oxfordshire 42. It's been a dominant display from the nominated away side. But let's start off by looking at Essex's try. Henry Bird, the man that no one was going to stop in that situation, really, Rosie.
No one was going to stop him. He had his head down. He was getting that try.
And we're going to start off now with the rest of Oxfordshire's scores. And that probably one of the better in this match as well. Great hands from Marcus Redding falling on the floor to pick out Willow Bicknell. And it's team tries like that that really have made them stand out amongst the rest. Rosie, talk me through these tries from Oxfordshire. Why are they so good to watch? Especially this one, which is currently hanging in the Louvre. But why are they all so good?
Yeah, these tries were just team tries. Everybody did their role well. The execution was high. Ball went to hand. And people just put their heads down and actually backed themselves to get over that try. Again here, the little offloads, the little tips, always being on each other's support lines. A little celebration. Couldn't go wrong with that one.
And this was one of the final ones that we nearly missed out on because we were discussing the use of vinegar with cramp. But we wouldn't want to miss that score from John Ireland. He was another standout for that Oxfordshire side. And as we see them clap each other through the tunnel, Rosie, who is, above all else, your player of the match? No pressure.
I think I've spoke about him quite a lot today. For me, no doubt, fly half James Miller. I just think he's been pivotal for the way Oxfordshire have played today. He's been the glue between the forwards and the backs. He's got the kicking game that's kept them ticking over. He only missed his one shaky one at the start, but I think he's just been key in getting the ball into the right areas of the pitch and allowing Oxfordshire to play the rugby that they wanted to play today.
Well, he speaks 3 languages, and clearly one of those languages is winner. So he knows how to win. He's led his side to victory today. So James Miller, you are our player of the match in this Beaumont County Championship Division 3 final. He really has stood out above all else. But, I mean, there should be some special mentions on that Essex side of things as well, because they really did put up a fight against Oxfordshire for the majority of that match. And you mentioned them quite a lot. Jack McVie and Luke Watson, the 2 wingers, they weren't afraid to get stuck in, really, in the nitty-gritty.
No, they definitely did what they could. I don't think they got the ball as much as they probably wanted to. You saw Watson looking for it at times as well to try and get involved. And then again, I think Vogel was huge in making sure you get those big ball carries in the middle, trying to get the boys on the ball. So there were some standouts from Essex today. Oxfordshire as a team just came out on top.
Well, Matt Webb as well, the number 5. His granddad Doug will be very happy today. He was one of the founding members of Witney Rugby Club in Oxfordshire, and every member of his family has played there ever since. And it's fantastic to see that rugby can be so long lasting in a family as well, and be such a family sport, which is another thing that's so special about it, isn't it, Rosie?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I got into rugby because of my dad and my 2 brothers. They both played at Oxfordshire Rugby Club, and my dad was coaching them, so I wanted to get involved. I didn't like that I didn't play. So for me, rugby's always been in the family. I think it's instilled so many different values and skills that you take into everyday life as well. It's definitely one big family.
Well, as the final Essex player receives their medal, let's give a big thanks to their coaching and management team. That's Tony Woods, the team manager, Steve Killington, the backs coach, Dave Stevens, the forwards coach, Alex Evans, the physio, and indeed anyone who gives up their time to make rugby possible in the county of Essex and with their county representative side. And now stepping up to receive their medals are Oxfordshire, and we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to say a big thank you to Matt Goo, the director of rugby, Greg Goodfellow, the head coach, Adam Copperwheat and Anthony Maris, the forwards coaches, Mark Clark, the backs coach, Liam Lloyd, the physio, and Doug and Jenny Bosley, the team managers of Oxfordshire County, and indeed anyone who gives up their time and volunteers their efforts for the Oxfordshire County Rugby Programme, and indeed all rugby clubs in Oxfordshire. And a big thank you to any volunteers who've tuned into this live stream from up and down the country. Thank you for bringing this beautiful game to so many across England, and for making days like this possible, because you nurture young players all the way through into enjoying adult rugby. And you can see there, despite them giving everything for 80 minutes and possibly being the most exhausted they've ever been in their life, Rosie, they're all still smiling.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you've won a game, you can't not smile. However sore you are, that's a tomorrow problem.
Well, the final players are just making their way through now to receive their medals. And now, finally, the captain will step up, Rob Coe, to receive his medal and to receive his side's trophy as well. And the picture is taken. Rob Coe's happy. He's going to make his way over to his team, because Oxfordshire, they are your Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 3 final champions. Congratulations to that Oxfordshire team. Thank you very much for tuning in to this first game. A massive thank you to you too, Rosie, for coming along to enjoy this fixture with me. I've been James Roberts. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you very soon for the second game today, which will be Dorset and Wilts versus Durham. We'll see you very soon.
Number 13, Aaron Baker. Number 14, Thomas Stewart. And 15, Michael Pope. And your Durham side today, number Adam Brown. Number 2, Durham Old. Number 3, Kieran Clark. Number 4, co-captain Ben Wilson. Number 5, Mike Wilson. Number 6, Chris Atkins. Number 7, John Hanley. Number 8, Sam Simpson. Number 9, Sam Herron. Number 10, Peter Evans. Number 11, Josie Roxy. Number 12, Luke Wilson. Number 13, Peter Gould. Number 14, Johnny Warner. And number 15, and co-captain Elliot Hudson.
Do you want me to stand by the live stream? Is it audio going out as well? Is it audio going out? Right, let's stand good.
Hello, one and all. Welcome back to Ealing Trailfinders Sports Ground, the home of the elite of English rugby. And today it's home of County Championship finals, where we're going to find out who the elite are in the England Rugby County Championship game. I'm pleased to say Rosie Gallagher of the Harlequins and England Rugby has chosen to join me once more here for another riveting game. Rosie, you must be hugely excited.
Yeah, very excited for another game of rugby today. I think it's a day full of rugby, which is exciting. You've got the Prem 15s happening, which I've been keeping track on, but what better place to be than at Ealing Trailfinders watching the County Championships.
So you're so excited as well. You started muddling your words too. This is it's going to be a spectacle of the ages to watch. Are we going to quickly do team sheets, or should we just not bother? We'll go for it. And whilst we watch Durham kick off, they're on the right hand side of your screen playing towards the left. Dorset and Wilts on the left hand side of your screen playing towards the right in the Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 2 final. I'm going to read you through the teams just whilst we watch the opening exchanges between the two sides. So for Dorset and Wilts, it's Ryan Brown, Scott Parry, Joe Atkins, Harry Murphy, Joe Desmond, Josh McCafferty, Ben Kimber and Gavin Ugan make up the forward pack. Harry Waugh, Sam Baker, Mike Clifton, Connor Tomley, Johan Baker, Thomas Stewart and Michael Pope make up their starting back line, and from a Durham perspective, Adam Brown, Jordan Folds, Kieran Clark, Ben Walton, Chris Atkins, Nathan Myers, John Padley, Mike Walton all make up that starting pack. And just behind them in the back line, Sam Heron and Peter Evans, the half-back pairing to go alongside Joe Broxby, Luke Wilson, Peter Yule, Johnny Horner and Ryan Foreman as the remaining Durham starting 15. And we'll introduce you to those impact replacements as they make their way onto the pitch. But for now, I'm going to come to our resident rugby expert. No, not me, you, Rosie. And talk to me how you've read these opening exchanges.
Yeah, I think there's been some real good challenges so far. You can see that they're very process driven in the way that they're playing at the minute, but you've also got some standout little bits of magic as well from players at the minute, getting up in the air, securing those balls in quite difficult circumstances.
Well, Durham are the ones getting the first big attack underway after kicking us off here on the Trailfinders Sports Ground pitch. They are the ones that are still in possession here. Lovely little arcing run there in the middle. Luke Wilson was the one with ball in hand for the Durham side. Oh, lovely bit of footwork from their fly half, Peter Evans, leading by example, leading this Durham side further forward still, but Dorset and Wilts have turned it over now. They send that one downfield, a rocket from the boot of Sam Baker. And luckily Ryan Foreman is there to tidy things up. Dorset and Wilts do steal it back immediately though through their scrum half Harry Waugh, and he offloads into the rest of his back line. That's another pass going astray. Nervy moments for both sides, but Dorset and Wilts are going to come away with it and unfortunately spill the ball forwards before they can get much together. Now it's Josh McCafferty, he'll be kicking himself about that, won't he, Rosie?
Yeah, I think this is exactly what we saw in the first game this morning. We're just seeing people trying to do a little bit too much, losing the ball in those key moments, and probably just nerves coming out here. It is a final at the end of the day. It's all about being bigger and better than your opposition, and that's what we're trying to see from both teams here. But we're just not holding on to the ball. Need to kind of calm it down a little bit, find the feet, and start to rebuild and go again.
McCafferty is just down, receiving a little bit of treatment there after spilling the ball from his side's possession, and it gives us a good opportunity to say hello to our officiating team that are taking charge of this game as well. Will Foster, the referee, the man in the middle with the whistle, Matthew Shepherd and Simon Bourne, his assistants on either side respectively. Bill Huntley is the fourth official, the number 4 as he's put down in the programme. And we're about to witness the very first scrum as well.
First scrum of the game is always a big one. It's always something that you want to make a statement on. I think both teams will be wanting to win this ball, regardless of whether they're putting it in or not. So making your mark, showing that you can hold your own and make it hard at scrum time is a really important thing to go off in the first couple of minutes of a game.
Well, it's gone down by both sides, and so we don't get much of a push, but we do get Durham breaking away with it through Mike Walton. Walton waltzing through the initial challenges there from Dorset and Wilts, and that's a pass that's gone very high and very wide, and luckily found Ryan Foreman. And he's done really well for Durham to make some good meters. Time for the forwards to carry though. John Padley. He's still going, still driving those legs. Out in that back line now, back to the big number 8, making another huge carry. Walton has broken through just outside of the Dorset and Wilts 22. What can Durham conjure up from here? They've had a long journey to think about what they do on this Trailfinders pitch, and they're now finally putting it into practice. They're inside the 22, almost breaking free of the tackles as well. More passes thrown out into that back line. And the kick going over from Peter Evans. Is it going to find hands in the corner? It is. But Dorset and Wilts do really well to bring their attack to an end. But as far as opening stages of a game go, Rosie, that is brilliant from Durham.
Yeah, it's fantastic play from Durham. I think they're really playing on top of it, and they're able to utilise their forwards to go like basically punch play, and then obviously that little kick over, you had a second row nice and tall on the edge, and unfortunately it just didn't make it to hand. But yeah, really good passage of play.
Well, Durham standing off of Dorset and Wilts at that line out, and they have to be careful not to give away a penalty, and luckily doing his own little steps was Joe Desmond to spin out of a few tackles there. They're taking it back to that blind side, and now Joe Atkins making the big carry for Dorset and Wilts. It's a good clearance there from Harry Waugh. And is that a drop goal attempt from Ryan Foreman? Well, it's gone very wayward of the mark. And instead he invites Michael Pope to run it straight back to his Durham side, and unfortunately he's conceded a penalty for crossing. That really is a lucky escape for Durham.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what that was about, in all honesty. I thought maybe he'd gone for the corner, but it definitely did seem like he was going for a drop goal.
We're just going to get a little replay of that last run here from Michael Pope. We can see that he's already going to be a fullback that loves to run the ball straight back to a potentially broken field and broken defence.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be dangerous when there is that broken defence. Not sure what he'll be like when it comes to a big line of purple in front of him, but definitely in that open play, he's got the feet, he's got the speed, he could really be challenging today to stop.
Good take in the air from Ben Walton. And his Durham team are going to start walking their way into the Dorset and Wilts 22, but the green team machine doing really well to push them back. And that's a really good carry from Luke Wilson, the vice captain of this Durham side. Once again, Mike Walton making big meters, the big number 8. And he's going to keep doing that throughout this match. Kieran Clark, the tight head prop, getting his first big carry out the way. And they keep going to that far side now, Durham. They've got to be careful not to lose the ball and lose possession here, because they've worked so hard to get themselves into a dangerous position. The last thing they want to do is invite Dorset and Wilts into an opportunity to turn it over, and that looked like that could have been the moment. But instead it's in the backfield, kick over the top once more, in a lot of space. Surely for the corner is Roxby. They get it down. The try is good for Durham. Great kick from Peter Evans. Joe Roxby on the end of it. And Durham open the scorings here at Trailfinders Sports Ground.
Yeah, that was a fantastic try from Durham. They're really keeping the ball alive. Everyone that's carried has had someone on their shoulder, either for a tip on or to clear out and make that ruck really quick. There's a really good vision in the middle of the field. Getting those little kicks over the top, they can see that the defence is shortening up quite a lot, so making sure that they use that to their advantage, and like we see here, perfect.
That's Dorset and Wilts just defending a little bit too narrow in a way, really.
Yeah, I think now that they've seen what Durham can do with their kicking game, they're going to have to make sure that they stay on that outside shoulder. If they stay on the outside shoulder of the person on the edge, then they know for a fact that they've definitely got them secured, and there won't be a big overlap.
And we thought it would be Dorset and Wilts would be the ones to watch when it came to the kicking game when we were watching them warming up, but Durham have come in to surprise us all. And unfortunately the kick isn't going to be good for the try scorer Roxby, but nonetheless his Durham side are ahead 5-0 against Dorset and Wilts in this Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 2 final. That's a lovely kickoff from Sam Baker, nice and high even though it was deep, so it gave his Dorset and Wilts team the opportunity to run onto it. There's going to be a line out for Dorset and Wiltshire as well. And in order to give themselves a platform to respond to this Durham score, they're going to need to make sure it's squeaky clean, and it is. And it's in the back line, and Connor Tomley is making the big carry. But a penalty awarded in favour of Dorset and Wilts, and Durham are marched back.
Now this is the first opportunity where we're going to see what they're going to go for. You can see there's a lot of communication come from the sideline, but is it a case that they've got a kicker that can kick from here, or are they've already got a sub on? So there must be something that's happened that we haven't really picked up on yet.
Well, time's back on. We're restarting once more. So Dorset and Wilts are just outside Durham's 22 now. This has been a game of very physical up-front rugby so far, and it's not going to change anytime soon either, especially when Dorset and Wilts started driving walls such as that. And Durham initially stood off, but sadly one of their players was dragged into it, and so Scott Parry, he's the man in the driving seat at the back of this maul. It's still marching forward, still creeping ever closer to that Durham try line. Parry still has ball in hand for the green machine that are powering through the Durham defensive effort. They're less than 5 metres out from scoring now. Is now the time to break away? They do. Harry Waugh sends it into the back line. Good carry from Johan Baker. Quick ball now, surely, for Dorset and Wiltshire. They've got to look to use this space. They've got men over. For now, the forwards are the ones carrying. And that's a missed pass. It's missed everyone, and it's been cleared up by Baker. And somehow he kept going. Somehow he kept the attack alive. And diving over for the score. Vaasaliva gets Dorset and Wilts. First try of the game. Alafoti Vaasaliva. He's been there at the right moment for his Dorset and Wilts team.
Yeah, no, I think that all stemmed from knowing exactly what Durham were going to do at line-out time. They liked that standoff, but Dorset and Wilts pulled the player in, so that they then created a maul. You then had your forwards carrying up in the middle, and then really good backs play. It would have gone back for an advantage anyway for a high tackle, but they carried on playing. They played with that momentum, and a great team try again.
Really good team try. And there are the extras for his team as well. Sam Baker slots it straight through the middle of the uprights. Gives Dorset and Wilts the extra 2 from that try. And well, Durham, they got the first score and they thought they might as well have a bit of momentum with them. But Dorset and Wilts have seemingly instantly responded, Rosie.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a really good matchup of teams here. Both teams are very physical. They've both got backs that can move it, that can kick it. It's just going to be a case of who puts their body on the line like this. This guy here.
Well, it's Dorset and Wilts flying away with Ben Kimber, the vice captain. He's marched them all the way back inside the Durham half. And they've got the quick ball, they've got men over. The passes have finally made their way out to Thomas Stewart on the wing. And he's done really well to not fly into touch. But Durham ripped the ball off him. But the referee awarding a penalty to Dorset and Wilts as well. No release on the tackle player. And that's why the ball pinged out into touch. And so it's another very dangerous driving wall moment.
Yeah, definitely. That break from Ben Kimber just meant that they were on the front foot, and it meant that when they got it to the edge, the Durham players were having to cover their bodies slightly on that 45, so none of them were really square enough to make a dominant tackle, and it just meant that they had to try and do something to stop it, and unfortunately gave away that penalty, which means that Dorset and Wilts have now got a really good opportunity to use that maul again. They're really strong and get over the try line.
Well, it's another really clean take for Dorset and Wilts. This time Durham do communicate fully and they all stand off. And so Dorset and Wilts need to come up with a different idea, but it's not going to work because Durham have won the penalty, holding on the floor. And that time, their line-out defence worked much smoother.
It did, but I also think that Dorset and Wilts know exactly what's going to happen now, so they're going to start either moving forward with the jumpers still on the ball, and they could easily go and do that because no one's drawing in. But at the same time, they could also then peel out, and they've got options now, and they know that that's what Durham are going to do. So it'll be interesting to see what they adapt and when they do it.
Jordan Fold stood there at the side, ready to throw in for Durham. And that overthrown, but still claimed thanks to the big palm of Nathan Myers. And Durham are attacking forwards in the middle of the field, and that bounce wasn't favourable for Luke Wilson. And instead it's Dorset and Wilts. Thomas Stewart on that far side. He's got the ball, and he's got his side a little bit more ground as well. Desperately trying to find a hole in the Durham defence. One pass more season back out on the wing. And it's batted out of the hands of the hooker Scott Parry, but somehow the Green Machine keep possession, keep their hopes alive for more points. Gavin Ugan, the latest to carry forwards for Dorset and Wilts. Lovely out the back pass, one more should get the ball into some space on the wing. Lovely delayed pass from Sam Baker, but equally brilliant defence from Durham. They can't believe they haven't won a penalty there. That could have been a brilliantly delayed pass from Joe Atkins. Instead, it's still alive for Dorset and Wilts. But again, the ball bounces everywhere. And just as Sam Heron thought, he got himself an interception. It's deemed a knock-on, and that's another frantic passage of play that's come to a swift end.
Yeah, it's frantic, but it's also really exciting. There's so many different options available to play. You've got some real good passes that are going, taking out 2-3 defenders at a time, and it just means that they're really having to make sure that defence is keeping that width and keeping all options on, really.
Well, the water bottles are on. The players are taking a little bit of a breather, and the temperatures have only continued to rise here at Ealing Trailfinders Sports Ground, and the pitch will be even hotter than it was before. And does that make the work even harder out on that pitch, Rosie?
Yeah, definitely. When the heat's out, it makes it 10 times harder, especially when you're on an artificial. Your boots feel warm, your feet feel a bit fuzzy. But I also think that there's a nice breeze out there. So when they do have these little stoppages in play, the wind will definitely be a very nice and welcomed element.
Welcome relief.
Relief element. Wind, rain, sunshine.
Well, I'm sure you'll be eager to have a conversation with all these players playing on the pitch today after finding out that you'll be here playing some Premier 15s matches next year.
Yeah, definitely. It's really exciting to have Ealing as part of the Premier 15s next year. I think the facilities and infrastructure that they have, we've seen over the years. We played our first Prem 15s final here, so it's definitely nice to be coming back here next year.
Great running line there from Johan Baker to take his side over for another try. A brilliant set piece move from the base of the scrum. And the outside centre makes his mark. Well, here comes a replay of that action.
Yeah, it's just a really powerful line, wasn't it? That's what you want in your centre channels. You want the options to obviously play front football and hit that short line from your 12 to your 13, but also be able to play the 12 out the back and have that 13 on a potential line. It's just really good play. It's really strong, and the boys are running with a lot of intent.
Well, the ball's fallen off the tee for Sam Baker as well, so it's just eating more into the time that he has to make this conversion, send his side further into the lead as well. Have we got some score updates from elsewhere?
Yeah, so just keeping an eye on the Premier 15s. It'll be interesting to see because of who's playing who in the semis. So at the minute, Saracens are 21-14 versus Loughborough Lightning, but Exeter are also beating Gloucester down there. So it's just a case of who's going to get a home semi in that slot.
Statement of intent from the Exeter Chiefs women's side. And a statement of intent as well from Sam Baker, because he sent that kick over for 2 more points. So Dorset and Wilts are currently leading 14-5 against Durham. Oh, and there's the try scorer, Fasaliva. He's now making a big carry of his own, and Durham need to make sure they stop this happening in future, because that's a second kickoff return that's almost put them back inside Durham's half, and they're frantically looking for a way to actually do it. But the kick goes in from Harry Waugh, and we're going to come back for a penalty against Durham. So Sam Baker is going to send this one down the pitch, send it as close to the corner as possible. We've already seen that go wrong once today. So he plays a little bit safer, takes his side to just beyond the 22. So they're just out of reach of that area of Durham territory. Do you think they're going to drive this or put it out into the backs, considering what happened last time?
I have a feeling they'll see what Durham do if they don't attack, which I think they're actually going to compete. With the area of the pitches, you normally look at your red, amber, green zones, and it's one of those ones where when you're in the middle of the pitch, you're more likely to go up and try and compete to get the ball back because you're under less pressure.
They've gone to the back. Durham actually getting involved in this line out on this occasion, and so Dawson Wilts trying to break away with a driving maul. The decision made to throw it into the backfield. There's the try scorer, Baker. I'll wait to see what else he's going to cook up in this game. It's now in the possession of Michael Pope. Oh, a big carry from Ryan Brown and a big hit on him. Opposite numbers going against each other. Kieran Clark making that tackle. And now it's out on the wing with Thomas Stewart. Fasaliva is upended by the Durham defence, and he spills the ball forwards. So it means it's going to be a scrum down Durham ball. And I'll tell you for one thing, Rosie, I would not want to stand in the way of Alafoti Fasaliva.
No, definitely not. I think what's really good about his running is that he dips and he keeps the centre of gravity really low. He's such a powerful athlete that when he runs at you, you either have to go really low or put your body on the line and kind of speed bump yourself as such. But I definitely would be trying to go for the ankles and try and avoid that massive centre of gravity.
Is that your advice for all of those who are still in the relatively youthful time in their rugby careers? Make sure you tackle low, tackle towards the bottom of the legs, because they can't run without legs. Exactly.
Go low, keep your head out of the way.
Eyes open then, or eyes closed, and just get ready?
Hit and hope.
Well, a short little water break there for both teams. As we've already said, it's been incredibly hot today here at the Trailfinders Sports Ground. A beautiful day for sport of any occasion. But on FA Cup day, who needs a Manchester derby when you can have a county championship matchup like this? Dorset and Wilts currently lead Durham 14-5 in the Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 2 final. I wonder what Durham were doing there for a moment, because it looked like the 8 was going to peel and go on his own, but it's out on the far side. They've done really well to get out there so quickly and get the ball to Johnny Horner. That's a lovely looping pass to find the hands of Ben Walton. And the second row is brought down before he can get an offload away. Good contest at the ruck from both sides, but Durham still keep possession. And Peter Evans sends it wide once more. They want to move from touchline to touchline here, Durham. And John Padley was swung around, eventually being brought down to the floor, and the kick goes in behind now. That's going over the head of Thomas Stewart. And it's bounced out into touch, so it's a fantastic territory gain for Durham. And it's a moment that the winger will be looking to make up for pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think what's really exciting about this game is it genuinely is width-to-width rugby. Not only are they getting to the width one side, but they're actually trying to then bring it back all the way on the next phase as well. And it's just drawing the defence in so many different directions that it's hard to read what to do.
Fast Oliva. Big carry once again from the forward. And that's Joe Atkins. Big ball carriers they are not short of at Dorset and Wilts, and they will look to continue to utilise them throughout the game. That's a really good box kick as well from Harry Waugh.
Yeah, really good kick, just to relieve pressure. I think because of the game and how quick it is, actually just getting yourself out of your 22 and putting the pressure back onto someone else's set piece is really important. I think Durham have been going with a 7-man line out, which is actually quite easy to defend because you can have your 2 pods just roaming around the front and the middle, and it'll be really interesting to see if they want to play off the top ball because they're getting that width-to-width rugby, or whether they're going to start trying to bully Dorset and Wilts up front and get that drive in.
Both sides having a little bit of a chat with the referee there about numbers in the line-outs. Lovely bit of trick play from Durham. It's worked that time, no overthrow, but the pass down to the scrum half not quite working out, and so Sam Heron has to use some fancy footwork, normally only found on Strictly Come Dancing, but today found at the Trailfinders Sports Ground. And he got his side out a spot of bother really there, Rosie.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like he stopped playing, didn't it? But he was actually just deciding what was the best option to do and which space to go for.
Durham attack is very much back underway once more. Big collisions in the middle of the field, as always, as we'll expect this game to continue on with. And Evans decides to take that up himself this time round, the captain of that Durham side. A little bit of a show and go there from Luke Wilson. Oh, and Harry Waugh is cautiously backing away from that scrum because he thought the ball was out. Really good sharp running line by Nathan Myers. Brought down in the nick of time though. Are they going to do it again? It's been knocked on sadly. So Adam Brown wasn't able to replicate what his blindside flanker has just done. But they will come back for a penalty in favour of Durham. That's a really good kick, sent well into the corner by Ryan Foreman.
I think the Durham forwards are playing really well off Sam Heron at 9. He's scooting a little bit, which means that 2 defenders at guard and bodyguard are being drawn in, making that gap for the forwards to hit a really hard line just outside them. So it's causing a bit of a divide.
Well, now it's Durham's turn to see if they can get a strong rolling maul going. And Dorset and Wilts defending well so far. They know how to attack with them. They clearly know how to stop them in their tracks as well, because Durham have been brought to the floor. And that looked like a really good running line from Peter Yule, but Dorset and Wilts stop it once again. John Padley. He couldn't find a hold, but he has won his side a penalty by drawing in the Dorset and Wilts players. Jordan Folds, the hooker, fighting with his opposite number, Scott Parry. And the referee is going to pull them back now for a penalty, going off their feet. And Durham go quickly. Mike Walton. Held up just short of the line now, Durham. Inches away from scoring. Is this the game for the forwards, or is it going to go into the backs? It almost looked like a knock-on from Sam Heron. The scrum half gets away with that one, and Durham will look to get away with more than just a general visit to the 22. They want to try. Durham continue to pick and go around the fringes of the ruck. They're tossing and turning and rolling their way towards the line. It's gone out, one more pass, but a big hit from the Dorset and Wilts defence. It's in that back line now. The defence still hold firm. Evans, lovely long pass from the fly half. One more surely in a bit of space. On the far side in to score, Johnny Horner. The try is awarded, the score is good, and Johnny Horner caps off what was a relentless onslaught in attack.
Yeah, that was a really good passage of play. You had all the forwards doing their jobs, making sure they were patient, not trying to get over the line, giving away a 5-metre dropout, but actually just drawing the players in and then having a bit of an overlap. That pass in the centre of the field, though, covered about 20 metres, and that just completely shifted it, didn't it? It meant that they got past the two defenders and were able to get to the edge and just finish it off with a try on the edge.
That was Peter Evans, the Durham fly half, who really stepped up there, sent that pass out wide. Because at the end of the day, the pass of the ball moves quicker than someone running with it.
Yeah, exactly. His distribution so far has been something that's been really important to how Durham want to play. With that width-to-width rugby, having that pass in the middle just means that it can get past 2-3 defenders and completely change the game.
And the kick not successful again for Durham, but it is 5 more points to the good. They trail Dorset and Wilts 14 points to 10 in this Beaumont County Championship Division 2 final. And we've got another replay angle of it. Fantastic score from the winger, Johnny Horner. And he's given his side a route back into this game. 4 points in it. Coming up to just about half an hour play, so we're entering the final 10 minutes. You could say the lead is everything going into the half-time break, even if it's only by 1 or 2 points.
Yeah, I think this game is so close, isn't it? You've got both teams going at each other. They've both got different strings to their bows. You've seen it at set piece time. Durham have showed so many different things that they can do. A little pop to the front, standing off in defence, but also trying to sack it at times as well. So I think both teams have got their style of play, and it's just going to be who can execute at key moments and who gets over the try line.
So they've made a quick change here because Ryan Brown of Dorset and Wilts wants to change his boots. He obviously didn't listen to your advice, Rosie. He didn't put the right boots on. So instead it means that Sava Tuimata Nisaka is on the pitch. And he'll be looking for his impact for the Dorset and Wilts County Championship effort. Lovely high kick there from Evans. Michael Pope passed that along, one more to a fellow Dorset and Wilts teammate. They're awfully flat here in attack. That pass looked a little bit forwards, but the referee deems it to be flat. So that means Tuimata Nisaka's first carry of the match is done and out of the way. He can shake off those nerves. And Dorset and Wilts can continue their attack. Brilliant defensive effort though from Durham. That was Joe Broxby going in with the big hit, and then the rest of his team came together to win the penalty. Evans sends that one downfield. It's well inside the Dorset and Wilts 22. And after the last spell that they had inside the 22, do you think they actually keep it in the forwards for very long at all?
No, I think they potentially will drive this a bit longer and really suck in the Dorset and Wilts defence. They've got an option, they've got a really good platform here to go out and get those points, like we said, just before half-time. Got about 8 minutes left, so if they can try and get another score on the board just before going in, I think that'll fill them with a lot of confidence going into the second half.
Well, it's a clean take for Durham as well, so they've set up the driving maul, but Dorset and Wilts throwing everything at it to try and disrupt it, and they do. And they're going to throw Jordan Folds into the floor. So what can Durham do now? Just checking himself was Mike Walton, the big number 8, looking for a pocket to exploit. And the passes are going out wide. Roxby on ball for Durham. And they're still coming forwards. Foreman. Advantage to Durham. It's out now, back in their back line. Evans, another crossfield kick going in. He's looking for his hooker. Folds. Folds rise the challenge. Can he keep it in field? He can't keep himself in play. It was a great covering tackle from Thomas Stewart.
It was a great cover tackle, but also a great take from your hookers staying out on the edge. I think that's one thing Durham are doing really well. They're keeping their width, regardless of who it is. Obviously, it came from a set piece at line out time, so normally you either keep your hooker or your jumper out there just so that the phases of play can carry on, and he's obviously the last one that's on the ball. So they're keeping their width. It's just a case of now making sure that they get the points on the board. And what a great tackle.
Textbook tackle, really, for anyone watching back home. Have you ever had to scramble across a pitch like that before? Can you talk to us more about how difficult that probably was for Thomas Stewart to actually achieve?
Yeah, like obviously, well, personally for me, that's not really something that I have to do very often, but for your wingers it's normally just a case of making sure that obviously you stay low, you've checked your body, you've checked your feet, and trying to stay as square as you can because you don't want them getting forward momentum over you. But yeah, that was a great textbook way of making sure they get into touch as well, and it was just by his head. So
well, that's a strong, stable scrum. That's not going anywhere. It's out in the backs. Lovely bit of trick play. Good running line from Peter Yule. The Durham attack is still alive, and it's alive, and it's looking like it's going to be a try as well for Mike Walton. The number 8 looped around the back of Evans, joined in with the set piece. And talk about a work rate. He's been rewarded with a try.
Yeah, no, that was an absolutely fantastic try. Coming from a really strong scrum, you could just see everyone knew exactly what they were doing. There was the loop, there was the crash ball here. You then had the loop around from Dan Dixon, and look at the power. Legs just didn't stop going.
It just looks as though it's pre-rehearsed in a way. They all knew that Mike Walton was going to be looping around to get that ball, and he just made it look too easy, but it's far from it.
No, this would have been something that they've practiced a lot. You can see the lines that they're running. You know exactly what angles they want to go at. Look at how he times his run coming around the corner, because he knows that he has to be behind the 10 when he's receiving that ball in order for the play to work. And we said it, didn't we? 35 minutes in, Durham have got 1 point ahead. It could go either way still. So I think if they've got that momentum now, they could potentially come out and get another try before going into half-time.
Well, the kick from Foreman not adding the extras, but as you say, they do have the lead, even if it is only by 1 point. So Durham leads Dorset and Wilts 15 points to 14 in the Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 2 final here at Ealing Trailfinders Sports Ground, and what is maintaining a very sunny, picturesque West London landscape in behind the field of play today. And let's see if the cool breeze can pick this one up in the air and make life more difficult for Durham. It does in a way because it slows down where it was going, but Peter Yule, he runs really strong and runs hard for Durham as well. They very much got their attack alive once more. Luke Wilson again, big carry from the inside centre, not held, so he stayed up. Durham are the ones firing on all cylinders now. John Padley puts the ball back for his team. Fantastic work from Durham. They've got it out wide, but the referee deems it to be a forward pass from Peter Evans. So we'll reset with a scrum to Dorset and Wilts.
It's not very often that you see Kieran Clark pulling it out the back and giving it out into the backs, is it?
It's brilliant to watch though. You can see the intent from this Durham team now, can't you, as we enter the final few minutes of this first half?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really exciting. They're all running off each other's shoulders. They're kind of all on the same wavelength in terms of, I'm going to break this line and I want to be able to tip it on, just a little pop pass to get it into the hands and keep that momentum going forwards.
another strong, stable scrum from both teams. And Dorset and Wilts will be the ones to fly away with it. Thomas Stewart looping around the pitch. He's got it to his fellow winger now, Mike Clifton. Clifton back inside of Stewart. And he is ushered into touch by Ryan Foreman. Brilliant work there from the covering Durham fullback.
Thomas Stewart's speed then was phenomenal though, wasn't it? Like, that's the first time that we've really seen him open up his legs and then be that support line again. Unfortunate that he got put into touch, but I think it just shows how well he can move from coming off his right wing to then being on the left and making different opportunities for in different areas of the pitch.
One minute we were just outside the Dorset and Wilts 22. Now we are very much knocking on the door of the Durham 22. But it's Durham who have the line out ball, and they're going to break away now through Nathan Myers. Oh, and just as he thought the offload got away, it's knocked on. And Durham's latest attack comes to an end. So they've handed back possession inside their own half to Dorset and Wilts. Less than 2 minutes now on the clock, or on our clock at least. We're not sure how long is left on the referee's wrist, and at the end of the day, that's the time that counts. But more time spent in their own half. That's not good.
No, I think Chris Atkins though at 6 is putting in a really good performance. He's got lots of metres going forward. He's carried really hard and is definitely instrumental in getting Durham's ball and keeping it alive.
Another strong scrum from both teams. It's really not going anywhere, this scrum at the moment. But I tell you where that's going. It's going straight to Baker, who ran a brilliant hard line off his fly half. And now what can Dorset and Wilts do with some possession and momentum on this Trailfinders pitch? Good step inside from Michael Pope. And the ball back inside once more. Finds Joe Desmond, who will dot down for Dorset and Wilts' third try of the game. You can see how much it means to the second row, and it all comes from a moment of magic by Michael Pope, the Dorset and Wilts fullback. I think the second rower didn't expect to find himself on the scoreboard today, but is it always nice when you suddenly find yourself as a second rower just on the end of a little inside pass and a little walk in?
Absolutely. I think for me, I'm going to shout myself out here, but World Cup debut, 3 tries as a second row, you couldn't really ask for much more than that, so I will never live that down.
Very impressive World Cup debut for you, Rosie. And another impressive kick, despite the windy conditions, by Sam Baker. He gives his side the extra 2 points. It means it's Dorset and Wilts 21, Durham 15 at half time. And just as we thought Durham had really come back into this game and were going to mount a near impossible challenge for Dorset and Wilts to climb, Dorset and Wilts fight back and get the last laugh in that first half, Rosie.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think there's been some really good play in this first half, both end-to-end rugby, some really good passages of play, keeping that ball alive, some massive shots going in from both teams and some massive carries as well. So it's all to play for in this second half. I think at the minute Durham's set piece is probably that slight bit stronger, but I think at the same time, like I said, it's all to play for and it could go either way.
Let's take a look at some of the best moments then from that first half of action. 40 minutes is the only thing separating one of these two sides and county championship glory. And it was Durham who got on the scoreboard first, thanks to Joe Broxby collecting a fantastic Peter Evans crossfield kick, and things only got better for them from there. Rosie Gallagher, talk me through what you love about these tries.
Yeah, I think what they all come from is that set piece and knowing that they're all on the same wavelength, the vision in the set in the middle of the field and having that kick opportunity, and anyone can be on the end of it regardless if you're a hooker or a winger. I think everybody's bought into the fact that that is always an option that's on, and keeping the width is really important for the Durham attack.
And this was a great try for Fatas Oliva to score. And this is textbook rugby, this score from Johan Baker.
Yeah, this is everything that you want from your centre pairing, isn't it? You want both options on, and just how hard he carries, the intent to break the line. He had two people trying to get him down, but he still managed to get over the whitewash.
And here's Durham's score on the far side, courtesy of Johnny Horner. Great work from the winger. He really had to fight to get that score in the end for Durham. Well, this is try number 3 for Durham as well, so they got 3 tries in that first half, Rosie. And is this the pick of the bunch for you?
Yeah, this definitely was, wasn't it? Everyone just knew exactly what they were doing. The hard run in the centres with 8 looping round. He knew exactly where he needed to get that ball behind, and just backed himself. He put his head down, he carried hard, and again, great finish.
I think the only thing I've seen in London as well rehearsed as that are most of the musicals on the West End, because that was training ground 101 really from Durham.
Yeah, definitely. You can tell that they've put a lot of work and effort into their set piece movements.
And that's a nice way for Dorset Wilts to end the first half, having Joe Desmond go over for the score for the Dorset Wilts side. And there is your reminder, it's 21-15 in favour of Dorset and Wilts at half time. We're going to take a little bit of a break whilst the teams have some water and oranges, and be back with you in the action in just a few short moments. Welcome back to the Sunshine Coast. Wait, no, it's Ealing in West London. Welcome to Trailfinders Sports Ground. It's the second half of Game 2 here today, the Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 2 final between Dorset and Wilts and Durham. And currently, it's Dorset and Wilts who are leading the way, 21-15 against Durham. And they are the team that get us started in this second half. And I'm pleased to say that Rosie Galligan has agreed to join me once again for another scintillating half of county rugby. And although the wind's picking up, you're still powering through.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here. It's been a really good day so far, and I'll be really interested to see who comes out on top in this game, to be honest.
Do you still think it could go any way?
Yeah, I do. I think both teams are playing really good rugby. I think I put my bets on Durham to come out on top, but we'll see.
Well, Durham are the ones trying to fight their way out of their own half. They fought their way out of their own 22, but it's a whole other kettle of fish to get all the way out of their own half.
Yeah, especially with the wind at the minute, you can really feel that it's in their faces.
Well, that's a lovely straightened line by Luke Wilson. You can tell that the inside centre is desperate to find a few more line breaks in that Dorset and Wilts defence. You can probably hear on the Atmos mics and our own mics as well just how much the wind is starting to pick up here at Trailfinders Sports Ground. And there's the first big carry of the second half for Kieran Clark. He doesn't shy away from those. There'll be plenty more in his tank. But that is not the way that Peter Evans will want to start his second half antics. The fly-off knocks the ball on to hand possession back to Dorset and Wilts.
Yeah, no, he'll be upset with that one. He hasn't really made any mistakes yet. He's played really well in that first half, being a key distributor, so that's just one of those unfortunate errors, and he'll beat himself up a little bit, but the main thing is that he moves on for it very quickly and continues to lead the team forward in that 10 shirt.
Well, since Ryan Brown went off to change his boots, they've opted to stick with Sabe Tui Mati Nasaka, the loose head prop, who towers above all else really in that Dorset and Wilts pack. And that'll be a really good contest to watch how he goes up against Kieran Clark, the tight head for Durham in this scrum, the first one in the second half. Is it equally as important as the first scrum in the whole game?
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously you've just had a bit of a break, so making sure you put your stamp on it straight after the second half is really important.
Well, Michael Pope was looking to put his first stamp on the second half and another stamp on this game, and Harry Waugh was the one rifling away with the ball for Dorset and Wilts. And now it's a game for the forwards. The pick and goes are starting to come in, but it's a penalty for Durham. They've turned the ball over pretty much on their own line, and they will be able to breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, now it will be really important for Durham to get that kick to touch and make sure that they get that set piece. Bearing in mind the wind at the minute as well, they have to make sure that the hooker and caller are on the same wavelength to keep that ball.
We've got another replay of that turnover moment there. You can see Harry Ward pretty much he got himself a bit too isolated, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And I also think the speed to get there at the breakdown from the Durham players, they actually got a full lift up of him and the body as well. So it's very clear that they had the ball.
Oh, well, just as Dorset and Wilts thought they'd turned it over from the line out, Scott Parry broke away, ran in for a score of his own, and the hooker can't quite believe the referee's decision to award Durham a scrum. And he'll have to walk a very sheepish walk back to join his fellow pack.
I think he's just getting his breath back before he knows he has to go and exert a lot of force to get this ball.
And here comes another strong, powerful scrum. Dorset and Wilts starting to get the push on, so Walton has to send that one into the backfield. Evans now in possession. Durham have worked into fantastic space. Foreman sends the kick forwards. Not sure if that was the right choice from the fullback because he had his winger Johnny Horner with him. Oh, and Dorset and Wilts go to clear it up with Thomas Stewart, but the winger tackles himself to the floor and the pressure is coming in at the ruck from Durham. Scrambling to try and win that ball, but scrambling back in defence is Dorset and Wilts, and they'll look to clear their lines now, breathe a sigh of relief, and that's exactly what Sam Baker's boot is going to do. It's not the end of the world for Durham though, Rosie. They are only just outside the Dorset and Wilts 22. We've got a lovely replay here of the clearance kick by Sam Baker. He looked so calm when he delivered that.
Yeah, he did, but I think he's been in that situation before, hasn't he? It was a really nice piece of play from Durham to get down into that corner. Didn't really know if that kick was going to go too far, but it sat up perfectly, and now they're back in control.
And it's in that back line for Durham, and that's the first big carry of the second half of Peter Yule, but sadly spilt in contact, and you can see his dismay as he waves his arms around. Doesn't realise why that's happened.
Yeah, Peter Yule, when he carries, you know that he's coming for you. He's not trying to get past you, he will run straight at you.
Well, he's got the Viking haircut to kind of go with it, with the ferocity of the way that he's been carrying so far in this match. We've also seen the appearance in this game, the first mullets of the day as well. What's your take on them, Rosie?
I cannot say that
I've been told by
like
a fellow
mullet.
Premier 15s player, Poppy Leach, of the Exeter Chiefs women's side, that actually they add strength and speed to your rugby game overall.
Maybe I'll have to get a mullet then. I will never get a mullet. I'll never shave my hair.
I couldn't do that. I think I'd actually be kicked out of home if I ever wanted to go back at Christmas.
I don't think it would suit my face shape personally.
Right, we're not going to be a spin-off of Zoolander. We're going to get back to the action here at Trailfinders Sports Ground. Dorset and Wilts with a put in at the scrum. Once again, it's not moving anywhere. So it's going to go nice and easily out into the back line. And this time, it's Michael Pope who gets the clearance away. That bounces really awkwardly in front of Foreman, and thankfully it bounced off his legs and not his arms. And that is a huge tackle from Thomas Stewart on the far side for Dorset and Wilts, giving his team more time to get into a good defensive setup. They're set up very narrow here, so a little chip over the top might work out for Durham, but it bounces away from all of them. And the referee deems it as knocked on by Durham as well as they flew through. So we'll have a scrum down, Dorset and Wilts ball.
Yeah, that was a cracking tackle from Thomas Stewart on the right wing. It's just moments like that, really, isn't it? Like, that completely changed the game and how people feel. You could hear the crowd just say that, ooh. It just makes like such a big emphasis on what people are about and what they want to do.
How does that moment feel, actually, when you make such a big tackle or a big, play in a game? The crowd suddenly go, ooh, ah.
I think it changes the feel. You all of a sudden feel on top. It might not be that that you are on top, but it just makes you feel that you've got something about you and that you've given something that's been positive.
Well, here come Dorset and Wilts now. Baker barrelling through the middle of the park, and the offload is good to Connor Tomley. And Durham looked like they were going to turn it over, but the referee deems that they did that illegally, not coming through the gate and coming in at the side of the ruck. And this one right in front of the sticks, Rosie. So what do you think they're going to go for?
I reckon, you know what, their set piece hasn't been bad all day, but I do think that they're going to go for points. Yeah, they are going to go for points. I think just because of how the game's going and how tight it is, if you can get these 3 points on and then come back straight after the restart and then get another points on the board, I just think it keeps your momentum going. And in a final, you have to keep that momentum building. I think it's really pivotal for confidence, but also it makes people restart and have to get back into process and structure.
Well, there are the first points of the second half, and it's 3 points courtesy of the boot of Sam Baker. And Dorset and Wilts fire themselves further into the lead. It's now 24-15 in favour of them against Durham in this Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 2 final. And we've still got about 30 minutes left to play here at Trailfinders Sports Ground. But Durham need to look for an instant response really here, Rosie.
Yeah, and I think they will. Look at them. They're all stacked up on the right-hand side. The ball's going to go to the right. I reckon they're going to go short to try and get the ball back.
That's got a lot of hang time in the air, and it's a really good challenge from Mike Walton. And thanks to his efforts, Durham do win the ball back for their side. Another big carry from Peter Yule. Ben Walton. Another carry for the second rower, but this time Dorset and Wilts turn it over and they go quickly. You can see what they want to do in this game. Vasiliva passes it on to his fly half Sam Baker, who carries on his own. Michael Pope puts in the grubber along the ground. It rolls inside the Durham 22. And whilst it hands back possession to the team in purple, you can see they're not going back to take that line out with much energy.
No, not at all. I think that was really good pressure and really good smart play. Just to put them back into their own 22 and have to make them fulfill their set piece in order to get back out. It's just about little pressure points now, putting Durham on the back foot in their half and having to be the ones that play out.
Well, Folds throws. Walton takes. And Durham go down to the floor. And that's where they'll look to clear out from. Vasiliva was there to claim the ball for Dorset and Wilts. And it almost looked like he was just going to release the ball and go again himself. But Pope puts in a very good kick behind once more. And the linesman is putting his hand out in favour of Dorset and Wilts as well, so it must have taken a deflection in flight, Rosie.
Yeah, it must have. I personally didn't see it, but it seems to be that they're getting ready to play and attack again, so it'll be interesting to see what they do from here.
We're just having a little bit of a stoppage for Mike Walton, receiving some treatment for Durham, and coming onto the pitch now as well for Dorset and Wilts is Gus O'Connor. And Johan Baker comes off from a stellar game at outside centre. Obviously he can be introduced later on in the game if needed. But for now it's Gus O'Connor who comes on to make his county championship final debut in 2023. Joe Atkins had to take that ball in the end for Dorset and Wilts. Bit of a mistimed moment there from the Green Machine, and Vasiliva and about 3 Durham players all over him, folding him into the Ealing Trailfinders pitch. And Durham are fighting with all of their might to try and turn it over and disrupt the ruck. Vasiliva is straight back on the carry with the ball, but he runs into Walton, who turns it over for Durham. And because he forced a knock on, we're going to come back for a scrum Durham ball.
There's a lot of personal rivalries that have picked up in this game, I think. You can just start to see now. People are starting to niggle each other, get into each other's heads. But at the same time, there's some fantastic play. Like, people are starting to really build into it. And that's why there's frustrations, because people are wanting to do and carry hard and probably leave a bit of a mark.
I'm intrigued to see whether this scrum holds just as steady as the others, and it did have a little bit of movement, but Walton got the ball out before we could find out much more, and pulled into the ground is Sam Heron. The scrum half sets that back though, and his forwards have to step in now to play scrum half. And it's the Dorset and Wilts forwards who send Durham flying backwards in attack. Evans, that's a very wide, very forward, very loose pass. And so we are going to come back for a Dorset and Wilts scrum. He threw that just at the wrong moment, really.
Yeah, definitely. But I think what interested me is Mike Walton gave that ball away very early as he picked off the base of the scrum. And actually, if he held on to it a bit longer and drew in that first defender, then Sam Heron wouldn't have been having to get 2 people try and beat 2 people. So I think Mike just needed to hold on to that ball slightly longer, draw in the defence, and that meant that Sam Heron could have made more of a decision later on.
Well, Jay Corbett and Kieran Hanlon are making their way onto the pitch for Durham now. 2 changes in that pack. They currently trail by 9 points against Dorset and Wilts. But a converted try would really bring them back into the equation. They're not completely out of it yet, but Dorset Wilts are the ones in possession, and actually they'll be the ones looking for a converted try to take them almost completely out of reach Well, that's a good pick and carry from Garanugan at the base of the scrum. But he's given away the penalty. His Dorset and Wilts side was sealing off, going off their feet. So Durham have penalty and possession once more.
Yeah, I think Gavin Ugan just gave a clear example of what I meant before in terms of taking the space, backing yourself, and then being able to give the others a bit more time to make that option if they hadn't broken the gain line.
Well, Ryan Foreman sends that one away. It's not got them out of their own half, but it's got them right up towards the halfway line again. So good news for Durham fans. They're much further away from their try line than they were a moment ago. That was a good take out the line out by Walton. It's in the backfield. Lovely bit of trick play from the backs. Another really loose wide pass from Evans. Again deemed forward. He was on the mark in the first half, but now in this second half, those passes he was able to pull off just aren't going to hand.
Yeah, they're just getting a bit stuck. It seems to be a huge gap between the centre of the field and then the wing. The long passes work when there's not a massive wind, but you just can't predict where it's going to be at the minute. I think also they just need to take that extra punch up. If they take the punch up, then that second phase into the 15-metre channel will be on. At the minute, it's just trying to get there too soon and taking away the opportunity to fully attack it.
Here come Dorset and Wilts on that far side. Thomas Stewart rounding the defence. Stewart offloading back inside. He can only find Yule of Durham. He intercepts. He's tackled on his own line. And because he was tackled on his own line, I believe we are going to come away now for a Dorset and Wilts scrum about 5 metres out. And just as I thought Thomas Stewart was going to get his first try of the game, he was snuffled out, Rosie.
Yeah, no.
Well, Dorset and Wilts are 5 metres out from the Durham try line. They're going to look to score now. Going to that far side and going over for the score as well. Brilliant work from the Dorset and Wilts team. And it's Ed Crossley who goes over to get the score. And surely get the Dorset and Wilts party going. The Salisbury superstars will probably go down in history now, Rosie, after that score, because he's taken his side even further out of reach of the Durham team.
Yeah, no, that was just a fantastic play off the back of a scrum, going blind and then backing himself to run fast and to run strong.
That kick not quite as good as some of Sam Baker's previous ones, but his side still hold a lead nonetheless, and it's a lead of 14 points now as well. They lead Durham 29-15 in this Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 2 final.
It's really important now for Durham to come out on this kick-off and either get the ball back or put a lot of pressure on. It just seems to be they dipped off in the last 5 minutes.
Well, Foreman sends this one high and also long, and the try scorer, Joe Desmond, was the one who took it, but he was taken in the air. We hope the second rower is okay. The medical team have flown onto the pitch to make sure he's all right. And it was just a missed timing, really, from a Durham perspective by Sam Heron.
Yeah, it's a really hard skill to get right. If you get it wrong, it's fully wrong, and there's not much hiding from it. But he obviously didn't mean to do it, no malice in it. Unfortunately, just badly timed, and we're hoping that it's all okay.
He's already had a stellar game so far, Joe Desmond. As I said, scores what is a great team try. And as you also reminded us as well, second rows don't often find themselves in try-scoring situations, so he will have really enjoyed going over in such an important match for his county. And speaking of that, the determination behind him in this game to stay on the pitch, shining through, because he's not going anywhere. Of course he's going to stay on.
He just needed a bit of a breather, take a few breaths in, and I'm sure he'll be flying in this line out in 30 seconds time.
It definitely will wind a man, won't it, falling like that? Sam Baker sends that one downfield and sends it into the Durham half, just about creeping inside it now, Rosie. They're operating a shortened line. Is it easier to run with a shortened line as we see them mess up the transfer to the scrum half?
Yeah, it's just different places in the pitch. 5-man just means you have different options, and you can play with your big ball carriers out in the middle of the pitch as well. So it just makes different opportunities available for whatever you want to run. It's my favourite line out, a 5-player with your 2 crash ball carriers in the centre channels. Can't go wrong.
Why is that your favourite? Is that because you just get to focus on your jumping?
Yeah, so we don't have people in there that don't want to be jumping, so you've got all options on in terms of who your key jumpers are.
But every forward wants to jump, Rosie. Everyone wants to get their Swan Lake
I kid you not,
moment.
they definitely don't. You won't see Poppy Cleal and Marlene Packer from England wanting to go up in a line out, that's for sure.
Well, you've said it now. We'll have to leave that for you guys to settle in camp the next time you'll see each other. But for now, we're going to get back underway with a scrum in favour of Dorset and Wilts. And they send it out into the back line. Oh, huge collision there from Gus O'Connor. Great carry. One more pass. It just couldn't reach the hands of Thomas Stewart. But Gus O'Connor showing his quality.
That one will hurt in the morning, that's for sure.
Durham still have a chance here. They've still got the ball, and once again you can hear there's a bit of a gale blowing around Trailfinders Sports Ground on our microphones. Oh, and a lovely show and go now from Luke Wilson. The offload is good from Wilson as well. Durham don't want to be isolated here, but they are. And it's the captain, Gavin Ugan, who's won the turnover.
Yeah, no, there's just some quality rugby on show, isn't there? I think obviously if that ball had gone to hand, that would have been a fantastic try. And the way Durham have tried to get out, keeping that ball alive, it's just not gone in their favour. It was a really good turnover, really strong over the ball straight away. And now they're managing to go for another point, another points opportunity. If they get 3 on the board, they'll be even further ahead. And I think they're kind of moving in the right direction to see this game out, aren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, they would be 17 points clear with that successful kick, if it's a successful kick, I should say, really. Yeah, well, there you go. Cursed it now. But with 17 points between the two and less than 20 minutes to play, that is a huge ask of the Durham side. Yeah,
it's a huge ask. It is doable, but it's definitely a huge ask with the way that Dorset and Wilts are playing at the minute.
And that kick is successful, so the lead is extended to 17 points. It's now Dorset and Wilts 32, Durham 15. And as far as second halves go, Dorset and Wilts will be very happy about how they're starting to close this game out, Rosie.
Yeah, definitely. They're playing some really good rugby, both in the forwards and the backs, and it's just really exciting. They're keeping the ball alive, they're doing different things, they're doing great lines, it's really creative.
Well, that was a good, challenging kick-off for Durham to win back, and they do win it back. Foreman, though, with an interesting hack forwards. It's worked out in favour of his side, deflected on its way off the pitch. So Durham now get a line-out of their own about 10 metres out from that Dorset and Wilts 22. Would you drive it from here?
No, I think they'll go off the top here, just to play.
Let the boys play, sir. Bit of jouet rugby is what we want to see, but Dorset and Wilts have stolen it. They've disrupted the line out. And so Ben Kimber, he runs forward now with ball in hand for Dorset and Wilts. In that moment it's deemed unplayable, so we're going to go back. Knock on by Durham in the line out, scrum down, Dorset and Wilts ball.
I think Durham will start to just feel quite frustrated. They just seem to be losing the ball at key moments where they've started to build momentum, and then either a turnover or a knock-on, you can just start to see all the players getting a little bit flustered, and it's only because they really want to go forward, they want to score. But I think they're putting a bit of pressure on themselves, and they just need to get back to just playing their style of rugby rather than trying to play into the hands of Dorset and Wilts.
Interesting move around by Dorset and Wilts in that pack. Ben Kimber has gone off. Scott Parry, the hooker, has gone into the back row, and they've brought on Phil Bardwell into the front row to replace him. We've seen how lethal the weapon he is at hooker. Let's see how lethal he is at fullback. But here comes O'Connor. Big fend from the number 22 once more. Vas Oliva. It's another big carry from the forward. I thought that Durham might have stolen the ball there out the ruck, but somehow, through some sort of special county final magic, Dorset and Wilts still have possession. Pope sends this one in behind. The bounce is a little bit awkward for Peter Evans to deal with, but good footwork from the fly half. He's going to run it out. He's going to run it out of his own 22. He's got to hope that the rest of his team can get around him and they can work their way across the park, because there is space here for Durham if they can use it. Instead it's with John Padley. His offload from the floor is good. But it's a penalty for a high tackle, and they go quickly now. Sam Heron. Heron is taken down, and so his forwards need to scramble something together. And Ewan Tremlett. Tremlett's still going. Tremlett's offload also good from the floor. Jay Corbett now the one to carry. Yule sends that one out the back to Foreman. Foreman flicks it on one more. Can they get it into that wide channel? They can't. But Rosie Durham's got to be careful here, because they've set up very narrow in attack.
Yeah, again, really good play, and just at the point where they've started to build and they've got to the edge, and it's just about rebuilding back into phases. There was a knock-on, so it's really unfortunate. They've got a bit narrow. I think they're trying to do a lot. They're just not getting the meters to showcase it.
A disappointing recent passage from a Durham perspective, because I mentioned it to you just then before they lost possession. They set up very, very narrow, and they were making a lot of ground by going wide, but then they were also setting very flat as well. And it looks like we're going to have a little bit of an extended time of stoppage, because we've got a couple of players down receiving some treatment. One of those is Ryan Foreman of the Durham side as well. He's been pretty good so far in this game, hasn't he?
Yeah, no, he's been really good for the team. Just getting them that go forward, making really sensible decisions, and being a bit of a playmaker as well. I think there's also probably a lot of tired bodies, and with that stoppage and play with the ball going down, it was an opportunity for teams to just have a bit of a reset, someone to take a bit of a Kit Kat break, as one would call it, just to have that chat and get that comms on, so that they can go into this last 15 minutes with a clear mind of what they want to achieve.
That's what they're missing, isn't it? They've got so many flipping flavours of Kit Kat. It's hard to choose just one. They just need a sports recovery flavour now, or protein Kit Kats. There we go. Imagine that post rugby match, post gym workout.
I'd go for a Kit Kat chunky. I would.
Oh, don't tell me just a plain one now.
Yeah, plain. Oh, can't go wrong.
But think of all the possibilities. Well, enough about my snack habits. It's more about the Dorset and Wilts attack, because they put in another really good kick behind, and chasing forwards was Thomas Stewart. The ball never found its way out to him. And it's Durham who have possession, have an attack, and they have just less than 15 minutes left to close the 17-point deficit between them and Dorset and Wilts. Now that bobbling pass isn't going to help out Kieran Hanlon. But that kick is pretty good from Wilson, and it's found his winger as well, Matt Kirby. Is that ball out? Well, it doesn't matter because Durham have peeled away with it through Adam Brown. The loose head offloads to his scrum off. Back inside now to the number 12, Luke Wilson. Wilson's brought down pretty sharpish. Foreman at first receiver sends that one out wide to Evans. Evans with another wide pass, flicked on, but flicked into touch by Mike Walton. We've got another replay of that moment now, and you can see it was so fast and frantic. Our cameras could barely keep up with it. I could barely keep up with it. And the next thing I know, the ball being flicked off down the Trailfinders tunnel.
Yeah, no, I think I was just watching Luke Wilson in that. He's obviously been massive in the phaser play down the right hand side, and as soon as it's gone to the left and the ball's gone out, you can see the frustration on his face. It's just one of those things. Unfortunately, sometimes all those little trick moves and little tip passes will pay off. Today, it just doesn't seem to be going in Durham's favour, and they're not really going to hand.
Just going to give you all an interesting story here off camera. Jay Corbett has had to change his right boot with one of his friends on the sideline because it must have fallen apart, so he's got two different boots on. If you're a podiatrist, you're probably screaming at your television right now, but if you're just a rugby fan, it's quite a fun story to enjoy.
It's a bit barbar-esque, isn't it? Different socks normally, but now he's got two different boots.
Do you know what, if he has the game of his life now and he helps Durham come back from a 17-point deficit, I think he might just do it for every game going forward.
Yeah, he'll have to. It'll be the new superstition.
Who knows, it could catch on. The ball is now out in the backfield with Dorset and Wilts, and that's a good strong carry from Connor Tomley. Vasilieva, he shows and goes himself, and he nearly breaks both tackles. He gets the offload away to Pope, but Pope is brought down. And now the hooker turned back rower Scott Parry. He gets an offload away. Vasilieva, oh, he thought he had someone with him. Turns out it was Luke Wilson of Durham. So Wilson is breaking away with ball in hand now. Big hit coming in from Pope. And that's a knock on as well from the Durham inside centre. And we're going to have time off here quickly so that both sides can take in some oxygen and a bit of water, because again, it's another moment of really frantic rugby. It was a good fend and a good run initially from Luke Wilson, but that hit, my goodness, Michael Pope, take a bow.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic hit right in front of the commentary box as well, so definitely felt the breath of air come out of him, didn't we?
Rather him than me. I'll stay up here nice and safe. Well, we're in the final 10 minutes of play now. Still those 17 points separating the two sides at the moment. But a couple of converted scores, and all of a sudden the picture of this game would change completely. Just like it has been all day, the scrum not going anywhere, and it's out in the backfield. That is a loose pass. That's not gone to any hand. Somehow Dorset and Wilts clean it up, and Pope sends that one downfield. Is this on for 50-22? It's bouncing too far away from the sideline and not going towards it. Instead it rolls into the goal zone, and that'll be dotted down for a goal line dropout. Well, Durham don't send it too far down the field, and instead it finds Thomas Stewart. That is, I can see the reasoning behind it, trying to go for a contestable kick, but it doesn't work out for the Durham side. Instead, it hands an easy opportunity to Dorset and Wilts. And Joe Atkins almost looked like he found a hole. Has the captain found one? Gavin Hugan's brought down. It's in the back line. Who's going to go over? O'Connor. One more pass from him, surely. Great defence from Durham. And a big carry forwards from Tui Matanisaka. And it's out. Inside ball. Knocked on though. And Durham get out of jail for free, because the pass between Sam Baker and Henry Toomer didn't quite pay off.
No, they really did get out of jail for free then. I think some of the performances that are going at the minute, some of the lines that the boys are showcasing, and some of the tip-ons as well, it's just making for a really good, fun style of rugby that they're wanting to show. Very unfortunate not to put points under there, because I think if that just went to hand, that would have been a try.
Well, Durham are away cleanly with ball. I say cleanly, that one was nearly dropped, and having to do a lot of work there was Peter Evans, the captain, the fly half. And spinning out of a few tackles just then was Mike Walton. This is hair-raising stuff for Durham fans, and it's been knocked on. That's not a moment that Ben Walton will want to relive again anytime soon. The second row's got to get himself into scrummaging mode after what is a really frustrating carry.
Yeah, Dorset and Wilts are just putting a lot of pressure in defence. You could see them getting off the line, you could see them wanting to double tackle, and then there's also certain individuals that are there for the jackal attempt. You can tell that there's only been some people that are allowed to go for that jackal, not everyone, and I think it's a really good idea of keeping the defence on their feet, and then having certain individuals that can go for the ball.
Well, here go Dorset and Wilts. That's a dominant push at the scrum. Is it going to be pushed out into the back line further? Taking it forward on his own is Sam Baker. That ball's come free. It's been scooped up though. Dorset and Wilts attack is still alive, and they're over. Henry Toomer canters away for the score. Slides in at the corner. And really, Rosie, with coming up to 5 minutes left in this game, that surely puts Dorset and Wilts out of reach.
Yeah, Dorset and Wilts have really come out of the blocks now in this last 20 minutes. They've got the momentum going forward. It was all a bit scrappy in all honesty. There was some good carries, but again, keeping the width on the edge and that simple distribution and execution to get it there meant that they got over the try line.
Well, it's a difficult angle to kick with at the best of times, and when the wind's as strong as this, it's going to make life even more difficult for Sam Baker. And we wait to see whether the ball will actually stay on the tee for him this time round. It does. The kick's up, but it's just too far to the left of that left hand upright. But he doesn't care. He's got a smile on his face. His side are well and truly in the lead. They're 22 points to the good. And there's another angle of the try itself. Rosie Galligan, your player of the match nominations, please.
There's a few people that I think could be in contention for it. I think the back three for Dorset and Wilts have worked really well together. Ewan Baker, Thomas Stewart and Michael Pope. I think the kick in, the speed onto the ball and distribution has been phenomenal. I also think Alafoti Fasilaviva, sorry for the pronunciation. I think he's had a great game as well. But you've also got the likes of Nathan Myers, who's been instrumental for Durham, and Peter Yule in the centres. He has carried hard, he's hit hard, and he's been pivotal for them today.
Starting to get a little bit worried because there's a Durham player down in the middle of the pitch that looks very, very hurt. But Durham is still attacking going forwards, and they're attacking with Harry Waugh. Waugh is taking it deep inside the Dorset and Wilts 22. He has been supported well by his teammates. Yule on the ball, back inside, juggling it carrying it and taking it to floor was Ewan Tremlett. But Durham again sitting really flat in attack. They need to get some depth and get some sharp angles of running together. That's a lovely wide pass. Is number 8 in again? He's been pushed into touch at a pivotal moment. Well, there you see Mike Walton being bundled into touch. They've got just under 3 minutes left in this game now, so Dorset and Wilts very much going to be the winners on this occasion. And just wait to see who that was down injured in the middle for Durham. It looks like it was Ryan Foreman, it is, and he's going to be assisted off of the pitch by the physio and medical team. And Durham are going to ring in a few more changes here now as well. You can see more players going down with cramp as well, Rosie. They need the shots of vinegar.
Yeah, they need some vinegar and a teammate to come over and give them a nice big rub.
Well, I hope it's nothing too serious as we see Ryan Foreman assisted off the pitch. We wish him all the best. We don't want it to be a long layoff for injury. It was a speedy recovery and he can be back to rugby action in Durham in no time at all. But for now, our attention turns to his teammates. They've got to try and steal the ball off Dorset and Wilts at this line out. About 10 metres out from the Dorset and Wilts line they are now, because they got clean line out ball, but that's gone into the Durham backfield. So is this their last chance maybe to get an attack together? Well, we're in the final 90 seconds now of the game. And that's a lovely looping pass out wide to Matt Kirby. Kirby stepping back inside, but just brought down in the nick of time by Sam Baker. He held on to his foot with all of his life to bring down the Durham attacker. And Durham love a looping pass, Rosie, because they've got it out onto the wing once again.
Yeah, no, those long balls are doing them well now. It's just a case of keeping the ball,
which they haven't been able to do. Turned over by Dorset and Wilts, but a penalty for offside.
Yeah, he didn't come through the gate, as you'd say then. He went around the side to get the ball.
Big carry there from Kieran Clark. Fantastic to see him still going, the tight head for the Durham team. And that's a really well run line by Ben Walton. Walton breaking through each and every tackle. Walton nearly at the line.
Oh, what a shame. That was a really, really good run. And I think as he's tried to lift it up into the air, it's just got knocked on.
He was so close to scoring there, and I think he knew it as well. He did so well to power through every challenge that came his way, and he went for the offload, but it just didn't quite work out. And I'm gutted for him more than anything. Well, our clock is counting down to red. It's going to expire now. And so there can't be much longer left on the referee's clock as well. But bear in mind that that is the one with all the importance. We will keep going, and I can assure you now that Durham will keep going towards the Dorset and Wilts trial as we see Dorset and Wilts push them off the ball at scrum time, send it downfield for the line out. But Durham will have the put-in, so they have another chance to get the last laugh, Rosie.
Yeah, I think they probably know that they're not going to win the game now with probably less than a minute to go, but it doesn't mean that you don't want to finish on a high. I think that's one thing as sports people, you don't ever want to finish on a negative.
Well, it's another bit of Kieran Clark magic as the tight head manages to get the ball out to the rest of his team, and that one bouncing really awkwardly for Durham. Leaves Dorset and Wilts no other option but to kick downfield, and that's bobbled out into touch. But we do still have time for the line out. Wouldn't that be great for Durham to be able to cap off this game with a try? Because they really have taken the game to Dorset and Wilts, and they forced them to almost take the game to another level.
Yeah, they've stayed in the game the whole time. It definitely hasn't been a pushover, and I don't think the score fully reflects some of the rugby that's been on show today. But yeah, they'll want to finish, they'll want to get something out of it, if it's a big carry, a hard tackle, or obviously getting a try.
Lovely little show and go there from Ewan Tremblett. Durham are still going. Mike Walton carrying the ball there for them. The crowd think that that's full time as well, but let's see what happens now. Durham still with a chance. Dorset Wilts trying everything to turn this over. Wilson sends it out wide. It's with Kirby, but that pass has gone forward. And that is the final act in this game. Dorset and Wilts are your Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 2 final winners. They have triumphed against Durham in a game of two halves. That first half, so close between the two sides. And really the entire game was so close between the two sides. But eventually it was Dorset and Wilts that rose above the challenge given to them by Durham. They will leave victorious. So there is your reminder of the score. Dorset and Wilts 37, Durham 15. They are your champions on this occasion. But let's take a look back at some of the best moments from that second half. Good penalty kick there, and this is Dorset's fourth try. Dorset and Wilts, can't leave out the Wilts. We're going to look at another penalty kick here now as well. I mean, something special must be said of Sam Baker, really, Rosie, because it's always much easier as a forward. I mean, from my own personal experience, I don't know about you, when you've got a fly half, he seems to know what he's doing.
Yeah, definitely. It's just easier to play off if you know and you're being told and communicated where to stand on the pitch, where to go, what kind of platform that you want to play off. It makes it a lot easier, and I think communication between your 10, your 9 and probably your line out and your scrum leader is really important to know what's best for the team.
Well, we've enjoyed some fantastic highlights from that second half. It was all Dorset and Wilts traffic in that second period, and as you can see, they triumphed 37-15 against Durham here at Ealing Trailfinders Sports Ground. Rosie Gilligan, your player of the match.
So for me, there was obviously, I've said the back three played a really big part today of the Dorset and Wilts team, but it has to be our number 19, Alafoti
Fasaliva.
Yeah, that's the one.
Wow, I didn't think you were going to go down that route.
Yeah, no, I think today, like, he's just carried hard, he's hit hard, he's been really important to go forward. I think loads of other people like Sam Baker have been around him to make him look good, but for me, he has been my player of the match.
Well, there you have it. Alafoti Fasaliva, you are the player of the match in the Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 2 final, as chosen by England international and Harlequins women's superstar Rosie Gilligan. Don't blush, Rosie. I'm just reading the Wikipedia description. And you can see how much it means to the Dorset and Wilts fans that have travelled all the way to the Trailfinders Sports Ground today. Great effort from all involved there to get down to support the Green Machine today as they triumph at county championship level. And that does also conclude today's rugby action here at Ealing Trailfinders Sports Ground. And Rosie, what's been your favourite part about today? What have you enjoyed most?
I think for me it's probably the spectacle of rugby that's been on show at county level. Obviously it's loads of different clubs coming together to perform for the county. It's a special thing in itself, but also when there's been a few injuries, just how people get behind each other and that feeling of being rivals and then actually being best of mates, giving each other a hug and a handshake at the end. Just think it's a really special day out for everyone. The sun's shining, a few beers down, and yeah, it's been a great day of rugby.
Well, don't worry, we're not going to hold you up for too much longer. Then you can go get the beers that you've been after. Well, there you see the officiating team receiving their medals. So a massive thank you to those: Will Foster, Matthew Shepherd, Simon Bourne and Bill Huntley, the officiating team for that final you've just witnessed. And as we see the Durham team step up to collect their runners-up medals, we should give a big thanks to all those who make rugby possible and that county setup possible in Durham. So a big thank you to all those that I'm not about to name, but a special thank you to Peter Evans, the head coach, Danny Finney, the backs coach, Johan Ocklers, the forwards coach, Stuart Darby, Andy Dixon and Mike Brown, the kit men, Gus Miller, the team manager, John G. Dove, the representative rugby chairman, and Scott Lyons, the physio, and of course anyone that makes rugby possible in the county of Durham, and anyone that gives up their time and volunteers their efforts to make sure games like this can happen and provide a playing opportunity for all of those. And as we've said already, they should still hold their heads high, really, Rosie, from the effort that they've put in today in that match. Yeah, definitely. They played some fantastic rugby. They played some really exciting set-piece plays in the backs and the forwards. I just think that things didn't go their way today. The little tip-ons that probably looked fantastic in training and have probably worked in games before just didn't pay off. And kudos to them for staying in the game for the whole time. Well, here come Dorset and Wilts to collect their winners' medals and ultimately to then collect the trophy, to the raucous of their fans and the applause of all those who have travelled so far to watch them triumph. And a special thank you to Don Parsons, the head coach, Dan Draper, the team manager, Terry Gilmore and John Kimberley, the backs coaches, Alan Lowe, Rich Elliott and Joe Quinn, the forwards coaches, Wendy Learmonth, the team physio, and Mega Lawley, the assistant team physio. And of course, a big thank you to anyone in the Dorset and Wilts County that makes rugby possible at all levels across all of those clubs, and anyone that volunteers their time to make these county rugby programmes possible in England and provide us with spectacles such as today, because your effort has nurtured young talents and grown them into the men that they are today, and we've seen the talent that they can showcase for the nation. And the captain, Gavin Augen, has stepped up to receive the trophy, receive his medal. And he will shortly make his way over to join the rest of his teammates once he's had a few photos. You must know how it is, Rosie, when you win something everyone wants pictures. Yeah, everyone wants pictures, you get a bit of a smile ache, but it's all worth it. It is worth it, because Dorset and Wilts are your Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 2 Final 2023 champions! Congratulations to Dorset and Wilts, 37-15 victors over Durham here at Ealing Trailfinders Sports Ground for the Bill Beaumont County Championship Division 2 Final. Rosie Gilligan, thank you so much for joining me today. I've been James Roberts. Thank you all for joining us here on this live stream. We'll see you again next time.